Yo, so I had I thought I was live. I wasn't live. I thought I was live. I wasn't live. So I'm like, bro, why does it still say on here? Go live. Okay, now I'm live. Now I'm live. Now I'm live. Sorry, chat. I'm a little slow. You know what? Maybe Skink was right. Maybe I am a little slow. I'm sitting here looking at this like, bro, why does it not say I'm live? Okay, it says I'm live now. It's real talk. What's good? Um, I didn't put it on. Oh, there it is. I ain't gonna lie though. I gotta get like some water or something. Cause just woke up, I'm a little fried. What's good, Rice? I'm not sure not going. I ain't gonna lie, this finna be, boy. We finna be sitting here for a little minute. a little minute. Oh, I'm gonna go get some water. Oh. Cause this better be a long reaction. So I'm gonna go get some water. And then, actually, hold on. Before I even do that, let me post real quick. Cause I don't want nobody to say they ain't know I was live. I might have posted everywhere. I already know it's not boring. It's about suspect. It's gonna be crazy. I'm trying to figure out where these. I just went on the gram. I'm trying to figure out how these women be having all this money to just go places. Like I'd be so confused. Like I really don't be understanding that. Nah, this got crap. Into his childhood. Oh, we finna get the full suspect lore. I can't refresh my own page, bro. I can't refresh my own page. Something's wrong with YouTube because it just said the live I'm on right now was live 20 hours ago. Yeah, I don't know. YouTube be tweaking. I'll link it. Let's get this going. I gotta make the post. Bro, my link is not popping up on the screen. There we go. Love from Island. Appreciate you, John Rainsford. That last name actually kind of tough. I can't lie. Somebody got my post notice on. Somebody just like my story. Somebody must got my post notice on. Okay. Let me just post on YouTube real quick, and then we're gonna get started. Because I'm not allowed to not many percent. Because some people don't get the notification for some reason. Which I find pretty crazy for YouTube to do that. But you know, what about type? I need a link. I shouldn't have duplicated this one. Y'all seen all the other stuff. I got like 20 videos preloaded already from last night. So once my editor send them thumbs through, I'm gonna post them from the reactions on the live yesterday. Now, if anybody don't know I'm live, I don't know what to tell them. Okay, I'm gonna go get some water. I'm gonna be right back, and then we're gonna start. We're gonna get into this madness. Chat. Let's get into the madness. Switch audio. Right, YouTube. So we got the suspect, London's killer rapper who nearly got away. Suspect documentary. Let's get into it. Oh, y'all can't hear it. Hold on.
All of the information is taken from public sources and is shown on the basis of fair use. I've made every effort to ensure accuracy of the sources, but I am not responsible for any content third parties have published. Every effort has been made to censor this video in accordance with YouTube's community guidelines, but if you want to see an uncut 4.5-hour version of this video, you can do so on Patreon.
Bro, imagine how long... See, I'm thinking from this from a YouTube standpoint. Imagine how long it took to upload this.
.com/FatLawRoss. But if you're not interested in that, just hit the subscribe button and prepare to hear one of the craziest stories ever told. Today, I'm here in Agar Grove, birthplace of one of London's most notorious and dangerous street gangs, Active Gang. And you might recognise the building behind me from the cover art of the album Suspicious Activity by Active Gang member Suspect, recorded whilst he was on the run from 2 murder charges. He was eventually caught in Kenya and extradited back to the UK to face justice. But today,
bro, how did he get to Kenya? How?
I'll be telling you the full story of Suspect, Active Gang, and one of the bloodiest gang wars ever to touch the streets of London. I've been covering the most famous and dangerous stories from hip-hop history for years now. From the gang-controlled blocks of Chicago's South Side to the bullet-riddled palm trees of Jacksonville in northern Florida. And it seems that no matter the city, if you look hard enough, there's always a crew of hardened gangsters that control the streets and are willing to kill to protect what's theirs. But ever since the 2010s, when Chicago drill emerged, it seems that behind every gang, there soon emerges a gangster rapper. One of those people who had lived the dangerous gang lifestyle and eventually found a way of telling their story through music. Since the emergence of a teenaged gang member named Chief Keef from Chicago's O Block, gangster rappers have emerged from all
You waited a week for this? That's crazy. That's love right there.
around the world, turning their pain into art and forging a path
Wait, John, are you the one that was waiting before the live started? Because I saw somebody was waiting.
out of the dangerous lifestyle that so often ends in tragedy. Since Chief Keef, countless names have emerged. Lil Durk, Young Thug, Pop Smoke, just to name a few, artists who made their mark on the music world with their stories of gang life coming out of their respective
Who y'all favorite out of the rack, man? Who y'all favorite out of Chicago?
cities. Each of them has a different sound, style, and cadence, but underneath is the same formula. The DNA of drill music has spread around the world and mutated, with each city establishing its own unique style. I love drill music, from Chirac to Sydney. But there's one question I constantly get asked. Is there anywhere in the UK that gets as active as Chicago? You don't know the half of it. Because when it comes to gangster rappers in UK drill, or the UK's capital city, London specifically, there's a whole bunch of hoods and a whole bunch of demons raising hell and waging war on their respective ops. But when it comes to the most dangerous and demonic rappers in London, one name stands above them all.
Hold on. Somebody said, "Do sus, you wanker."
And that's Suspect. Hailing from the infamous London borough of Camden, Suspect and his affiliates in the legendary street crew turned rap collective, Active Gang, have brought years of carnage to the streets of North London, with deadly knife battles taking place just minutes away from some of London's busiest tourist hotspots. Active Gang and their enemies turned up the violence to 11, and quite literally single-handedly raised the crime rate in their community, with multiple murders taking place on both sides of the war, and innocent victims.
You know how much killing you gotta be doing to single-handedly, like, come on, bro.
Women and children frequently being caught in the crossfire, often with the people doing the shooting or stabbing doing it without leaving a trace, leaving local police and politicians completely incapable of stopping them. But
And that's the thing. They got CCTV there. So, you got CCTV there, and you got niggas doing drills and leaving no evidence at all, like burning the whips, no casings, no fingerprints. Meanwhile, in the States, you got people getting caught left and right because they want to do stuff broad day, no mask, just dumb. And there's barely any cameras, just dumb.
when Suspect and his affiliates seemingly murdered 2 rivals in the space of only a few months, with the police hot on their trail, members of Active Gang would have to flee the city of London and hide out as long as they could, sparking an international game of cat and mouse, with British bobbies desperately trying to use social media to track down Camden's most notorious killers. All the while, Suspect himself was recording and releasing some of the most shocking and violent drill songs the UK rap game had ever seen.
Bro, imagine. That's so crazy, bro. They looking for this nigga. He dropping music in the city.
Bragging about the murders that he committed openly in his music, even referring to himself with the menacing title, The Grim Reaper of Agar Grove. And all while using body doubles and diversion tactics to trick the authorities and rap fans into believing that he was still active and lurking on the streets of London. The story of Suspect, Active Gang, their rivals, and their
So that wasn't him in the vids. He was out the city already, and that's smart.
victims is one of the
I'm
most
telling you,
wild
too
and
smart.
tragic stories ever to have been told on the streets of London. But that story has never truly been told in detail from start to finish until now. So prepare yourself to learn once and for all the whole shocking and true story behind London's most gruesome gangster rapper.
But like, I'm trying to figure out how a person that don't know Suspect at all has enough information on this nigga to put a 2-hour documentary together. And I think he said it was 4 earlier, uncut. So like,
Got growth. If it ain't the A, then you're getting popped, boy.
You're live with BBC News. Just some breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. 2 men have been stabbed to death.
No, I be at.
6 people were injured.
Nobody outside.
There must have been some beef and someone called Calvin died.
C-Miz and his cousin split up, but unfortunately the men who jumped out of the car locked onto C-Miz, and C-Miz ended up dropping to the ground when the 71st member started to stab him repeatedly with machetes and then run from the scene.
Get back inside.
And then whoever was in the car pulled out a shotgun and sprayed pellets into the crowd.
I've always said we should toughen up our gun laws.
In 2 separate attacks in Kentish Town in North London last night.
Tragic incident.
Nobody done anything for that guy, for that brother who passed away, and we ask Allah as well to have mercy upon him.
Culprit was running for his life and literally screaming for help, banging on neighbours' doors to let him in so he could escape his attackers.
Jeffrey Wegby was pursued and...
I ain't gonna lie, I did a video where they talked about how Culprit died. That is OC, bro. That is so OC, bro.
fatally shot inside his home address in Brent.
And we used to fight against these African British guys, mixed race guys.
They are going to go out and kill any Somali.
That a music video shoot had been shot up, and it was none other than Active Gangs.
Active Gang.
Where do you get your name suspect for? Do you catch bodies?
Got a few man under his belt.
You see this rapping thing, obviously, we don't do this rapping thing without, like, the proof in the pudding.
Nah, I'm not even about that life.
71st members made a song called Congo.
Oh, it's that time. Who's in there though? Bugsy, who's in there?
And the reason why they called it Congo is because C-Miz was actually a refugee from Congo after him and his family fled the war from over there. And members repeatedly in their songs say that they get their from Congo, not Cali.
This one here, yeah, you know who that one is.
Yeah.
This one, that's like 3 of them. That's a combo. 3 in 1.
That one's a combo.
Suspect AGB sentencing is today, I believe.
2 of the men that were standing trial fled the country.
He's in another country, a free man.
Wait.
I can't even give out locations.
No, I gotta stay low.
All them funny comments.
Niggas is too funny. Nigga fled the country and said I can't even give a location, but he all alive. Like, I'm tired of niggas. I really am.
That's all that matters.
The London Borough of Camden is one of the most famous tourist spots our city has to offer. To the casual visitor, it would be difficult to see how this thriving area with its bustling markets and high property prices could be so dangerous beneath the surface. But that's the thing about London. Unlike the sprawling cities of the United States, being such a densely populated area, you might go from standing next to a multi-million-pound property and turn one corner and find yourself in the middle of one of the city's most deprived council estates.
That's the same thing with the States though, like, they can't even say that.
States, or projects as you Americans would probably call it. Camden itself is located in northwest London, and is one of the 32 boroughs, meaning administrative areas, that make up Greater London. The current borough of Camden was created in 1965, when London's administrative area was expanded to incorporate the Greater London, and it includes districts or neighbourhoods, many of which are famous for their ostentatious wealth, such as Hampstead, Kentish Town, Camden Town, Kilburn, Somers Town, King's Cross, St Pancras, Chalk Farm, Haverstock, and Gospel Oak.
See, the crazy thing is, I maybe heard of Hampstead, and that's only because they got a Hampstead City near where I live. Other than that, I ain't heard of none of these places.
One of these neighbourhoods you are most likely to be aware of is Camden Town, also often just called Camden, that the borough is named after, and that's where much of the events of this video will take place. Camden Town has been known around the world since the 1960s as the heart of London's art and cultural scene, with it being home to famous music venue The Roundhouse, where acts like Pink Floyd performed in their early years. Moreover, over the years, Camden has been a breeding ground for many different urban youth countercultures like the punks, ravers, and hippies. Ultimately, Camden is one of those places where outsiders and nonconformists can fit in, call home, and flourish. And perhaps as a result of the openness and tolerance fostered in the area, over the years, Camden, or more specifically Camden Town, has become a tourist attraction in its own right. Best known for its popular street markets specializing in arts, counterculture and alternative clothing, delicious and trendy street food, and maybe the odd bit of counterfeit designer clothing and smoking accessories that I'm sure fans of this channel will probably enjoy. In fact, speaking of smoke shops, Camden has for a long time been known to be a hotspot for illegal drug markets, sometimes even being referred referred to as the Amsterdam of the UK. Despite Camden's countercultural ethos still being somewhat intact, the area has also gained attention in recent years for arguably going through a significant gentrification. Similar to many other boroughs of London, which despite the natives struggling with rising costs of living, the push still continues to demolish affordable housing and replace it with multi-million-pound new build developments. This gentrification process only tells part of the story, because Camden really is an area with some of the biggest wealth gaps and income equality in the United Kingdom. As I mentioned at the start, many of the poorest estates in London exist literally a block away from multi-million-pound mansions. These are the kind of multi-million-pound mansions you might expect to see in prime spots right next to Camden Square, which is only 6 minutes walk away from the formerly neglected Agar Grove estate. This estate is home to the depressing council block Lulworth House, which was featured prominently on the cover of Suspect's album Suspicious Activity, and is the birthplace of the menacing street crew Active Gang, who we will be discussing extensively in this video.
Is that an apartment building? The building that's in the background? Ain't no way that's an apartment building. That look like a... that look like a... what do you call it? Like one of them buildings that receptionists work in, where it's like a floor, and it's got the little cubicles. That's what it looked like. It don't look like nobody lived there.
Now, when I went to visit the area, I was struck by just how much this depressing and brutalist old council block stood out amongst the newly built private luxury developments surrounding it in the neighbourhood. Anyway, despite their close proximity to the multi-million-pound properties, the British equivalent of public housing, or the projects, known here as council housing or council estates, tend to be the areas where gang violence is most common. Council estates are typically large publicly owned projects that offer affordable social housing, generally cramming as many families on low pay into cramped apartment buildings. However, nowadays, many of the old council estates are being torn down and to a lesser extent replaced by private housing associations run for profit. Part of the reason this has been allowed to happen is because of the bad reputation that council estates have fostered, becoming notorious hotspots for criminal activity and antisocial behaviour. The social unrest in Camden's poor communities and social housing has led Camden to become increasingly dangerous over the years, with particularly brutal murders taking place right on the streets, sometimes even in broad daylight. But before getting more in depth on the gangs in the area that are driving this violent crime, on a more positive note, Camden also has a rich history when it comes to UK rap music. For example, one of the first real breakthrough UK rap groups hails from Camden, the infamous and divisive rap trio N-Dubz, who were among the first British rap groups to gain popularity when UK rap went from underground to the national mainstream during the 2000s. In the late noughties, a new wave of British gangster rap emerged called road rap. This saw artists such as South London's own Giggs gaining national popularity by showing an authentic look at Britain and especially London's gang underworld. In many ways, the British road rap wave predates and foreshadowed the gritty and raw visual aesthetics that Chicago drill music videos would end up popularizing globally years later. Some young gang-affiliated rappers from Camden would also start dropping songs, including artists like Ambush, Prospect, and Rowdy, who repped the Queen's Crescent gang located in the postcode NW5 in the Kentish Town neighbourhood. In fact, Queen's Crescent, or QC, has been considered as one of the most notorious hoods in Camden for some time due to extensive gang activity. And while Ambush made a considerable name for himself in the British rap scene since then, unfortunately in 2012, Rowdy, real name Sean Ferdinand, ended up receiving a life sentence for allegedly stabbing and killing a young man and attempting to kill another. By mid-2010s, many of Camden's gangs were actually united under one banner called Cracktown, or CT, and in 2015, Cracktown affiliates YD and JP would release their song Man Down, which is arguably one of the first UK drill songs recorded in North London to gain prominence. Sadly, the music video for Man Down also seems to mark one of the last times that these different Camden gang sets known as Cracktown came together on good terms whilst pursuing more positive goals like music. Because soon after this video released, the music side of Camden gang life would slow down as members would focus on a deadly war that was brewing in the streets. And sadly, in the years that followed that music video, many of the young men depicted in it would find themselves being forced to pick a side in what would end up becoming one of the most violent street feuds London had ever seen.
Wait, so is this documentary gonna explain how Chinks and Sus and all them got split up?
Camden, like other boroughs of London that have significant populations struggling with poverty, has for a long time been affected by gangs. For example, notorious former gangster Marvin Herbert grew up in Camden. He was suspected of up to 24 murders with his Yardie Hit Squad gang, one of many Jamaican Caribbean gangs that operated in London during that period. In the 90s, the Camden neighbourhood of Somerstown saw many Caucasian families moving out, with many...
The Professional Bears 45. Maz's podcast? Is it long? I ain't gonna lie, I'm probably not doing another reaction after this, but well, at least today. But is it long?
Migrant families, particularly Asian backgrounds, migrating to the area and calling it home. Unfortunately, due to racial tensions in the area, this would eventually lead to a race war between the poorest white youths still living there and the Asian youths who had moved in recently. The animosity in the area between these two groups exploded after a 15-year-old white boy, Richard Everett, was stabbed to death by a gang of British Bangladeshi youths who were apparently seeking revenge against another white youth in the area. After this, white youth gangs began patrolling the streets of Somerstown, attacking anyone of Asian background that they came across, even firebombing a halal butcher shop. This was an incredibly violent and volatile time in Camden. Gangs in London around this time were also generally much larger than they are now, with as many as 100 members in each gang. In 2007, a document by Scotland Yard's Special Crime Directorate that was seemingly leaked to news outlets and online listed a whopping 257 gangs allegedly operating in Greater London boroughs. In Camden, the document, which was at the time argued to already be a little bit outdated, listed a total of 8 gangs active in the area. This included the Born Sick Crew, Centric Gang, the Cromer Street Massive, the Denton Boys, the Drummond Street Posse, the NW1 Boys, aka Cumbo Gang, the Peckwater Gang, and WC1. The Drummond Street Posse hailed from around the busy Euston train station and were thought to have been involved in that 1994 killing of Richard Everett. The group was also allegedly involved in a violent clash with another gang, the Cromer Street Massive, from around King's Cross Station in 2003. In 2006, the Centric Gang received media attention after one of their alleged members, a young student named Mahir Osman, also known as Smiley, was brutally stabbed by alleged rival gang members from Tottenham. According to the news article, Centric Gang hailed from the Chalk Farm neighbourhood where the famous music venue The Roundhouse is. But according to a childhood friend of Smiley, journalist Ismail Inarshe, Centric Gang were a Somali-based gang that had members all over the Camden borough. In 2007, another gang, the Denton Boys, who were from the Denton estate in the Kentish Town neighbourhood, were allegedly terrorising the neighbourhood, committing daily robberies and other violent crimes. In 2008, local news and blogs were reporting of another gang called the Money Squad, or TMS, reportedly another largely Somalian origin gang, who were allegedly selling large amounts of drugs around the Camden street markets. That same year, newspapers would also report of an alleged member of the Money Squad, Sharmak Hassan, being shot to death in what seemed like a gang-related incident. Years later, a reformed gang member and popular Muslim motivational speaker and social media influencer Abu Taymiyyah Jailani would talk about his time in Camden gangs, describing it as postcode wars, but also mentioning how his gang was mostly Somalians and Jeminis from Kentish Town, whereas their ops were African-British guys of a mixed race heritage.
Those who I used to hang around with are mostly like Somalis and Yemenis. Okay, he was more situated in Kentish Town, but used to come to Camden a lot because the other elders were there. We was trying to, at that time, rep this postcode called NW1, and we used to fight against these African British guys, mixed race guys, all because of a postcode. I have all these scars on my head, on my body. A friend of mine was shot, and this was in Camden, and it was the reason as to why I left the streets.
Another example of how race and ethnicity have for the longest time been central in igniting Camden's gang conflicts is a 2009 local news report identifying so-called no-go zones in certain Camden neighbourhoods, including the Peckwater estate, home of the Peckwater Gang in Kentish Town. In these no-go zones, patrolling officers were reportedly commonly attacked with rocks by gangs when they tried to enter the estate. Moving into the 2010s, a special task force was set up by the Camden police in an attempt to tackle gang-related violence. This led to numerous arrests of alleged drug gangs in Camden, including in the Queen's Crescent area. By 2011, tensions boiled over between minority youths, many of whom were affiliated with local gangs, and the London police. In the wake of the fatal shooting of alleged gang member Mark Duggan by the police in nearby Tottenham, this brutal use of force on London streets, followed by the Met Police attempting to avoid accountability for the killing, led to days of major protests which escalated into riots all over London, including Camden. Despite the unrest, violent crime in London fell significantly during the first half of the 2010s, bottoming out in 2014 when the homicide rate actually fell below 100 per 100,000 inhabitants, which was largely attributed to the London police's fight against gangs. However, already the following year in 2015, the homicides begun increasing again significantly, with this actually coinciding with the emergence of UK drill music in mainstream London youth culture, as artists such as the 6-7 Crew and Harlem Spartans begun to gain popularity throughout the city, giving the whole world a window into life as a young young gang member on one of London's many dangerous estates. These early pioneers of the UK drill genre and the beatmakers who brought these lyrics to life eventually led to the distinctive sound of UK drill being born, with the sliding 808s, wavy percussive patterns, and creative snare placements that made it a unique sound and eventually a global movement. Also in 2015, many news outlets began reporting on maps published online showing the alleged territories of different gangs in London. One of these maps is still available and appears to list gangs in Camden such as the QC Blocks, Camden Marleys, Somerstown, Cumbo Blocks, Drummond Street Posse, Cromer Street Massive, and Agar Grove. Interestingly, many of these same gangs are mentioned in a 2019 Guardian article about knife gangs in London. It's around this time that the gangs involved in the events of this video begin truly getting active in the streets of Camden, as young men and teenage boys from the area would get sucked into the local gang politics and their deadly conflicts. In this story, there will be many names of many young men who played.
Oh my goodness, this is a line up. A line up. Some people was in 2. Alert, Broad Day, AR. I keep hearing about. I heard about AR a lot yesterday. Blitz, Striker. Y'all was saying Striker was Striker. He Capra.
The role in the war playing out on the streets, as well as in the recording studios where those battling for.
This is great production though. Like, this is great production.
Dominance on the streets of Camden would boast and brag about their activities on the roads. However, there's one name that stands above all of them when it comes to brutality and notoriety. That's a young man by the name of Tariq Kennedy Mangal Monteiro, who you might know better as Suspect.
He picked the perfect name for him. Uh-oh.
Suspect, real name Tariq Monteiro, was born on February the 27th, 2000. Suspect is often thought to be of Somali descent.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, I forgot who it was, but it was like, I had dropped a video. Bro, no, it was like, I'm not here yet, bro. It was like 3 or 4 people. I don't know, maybe it was, I think it was like 2 or 3, I don't think 3 or 4. But I had dropped it was one of the Striker videos I dropped. And I was talking about how he was talking crazy in a song. And people in the chat was like, bro, he don't even live like that. Like, I'm like, oh. Bro, like, I ain't gonna lie, they was going in on him. I don't know if they said he snitched, they might have, but they was going in on him. They was saying, like, he don't live where you at. I mean, I was surprised, because they was the same. They showed me the, where Striker said the devil spoke to him or something. He was involved in the C Miz murder. Striker crazy. I think bro is a little crazy. Cause the shit he be saying be actually like, it don't be bad as Suspect, but it'd be like, why would you say that? Like, oh yeah, there is 2 different ones. I'm talking about the I forgot the one I'm talking about. But there's 2 different ones though.
Due to his many close friends being Somalian, and he's even known to use the language. However, his parents are often claimed to be of a Moroccan and Cape Verdean or Guinea-Bissauan descent. Thus, his last name Monteiro, which has Portuguese origins, as Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau were once both Portuguese colonies. Yet others seem to think that his last name is actually due to the fact that Suspect grew up much of his childhood in foster families, with the foster family he would eventually settle with perhaps being of Cape Verdean or Guinea-Bissauan origin. However, when it would later come to his affiliations in the racially motivated gang wars on the streets of Camden, he would identify very much as Somalian. The reason why Suspect was placed in foster care is not entirely clear. However, what we do know, based on his social media, is that Suspect seemed to first settle in the Somerstown neighborhood in Camden. This is where he would allegedly first meet guys like S-Wavy and S-Y, who would later move to Agar Grove. Later, his foster parents, who now resided in Tottenham, seemingly couldn't control Suspect either, and at one point he went missing, leading to the local news appealing to the public to help find a young Suspect who had gone on the run as a 14-year-old. 2-year-old. It seems that a week later, the police were able to locate Suspect, most likely hanging around his old stomping grounds in Camden. Suspect had been going on the run since he was a small boy, and this perhaps foreshadowed his later infamous actions as a wanted man. Due to Suspect's young age at the time, there isn't too much public information about the specifics of his dealings with the law, but later reporting about Suspect's court appearances seem to have revealed that he had an extremely lengthy criminal record even as a child, apparently having received a total of 18 convictions on a total of 41 offences. This includes charges for drug dealing and battery and 20 convictions on a total
41 offenses? Bro, 18 convicts? But 40... Bro, you know how many 41 offenses is? That's like the definition of, like, in a dictionary, his face should be there when it says outside, like...
of 41 offences. This includes charges for drug dealing and battery in 2013, an apparent 4 robberies in 2014, and other lesser charges, including assaulting a police officer in 2017. How many times Suspect has been
You assault a police officer, you're supposed to go down for that. Like, you're supposed to go down.
locked up is also unclear, but what we do know is that during some of those incarcerations, he met other youngsters who would turn up and later become highly influential figures in the UK drill scene. This includes Kennington rapper Lowski from the Harlem Spartans, who actually discussed doing time with Suspect in 2016 just as he had released his breakout drill anthem Hazards. Suspect apparently also spent time with members of the Six. He had released his breakout drill anthem Hazards. Suspect apparently also spent time with members of the 6-7 gang, whose rappers such as LD and Dimsy were some of the first UK drill artists to blow up back in 2014. Once again, here we see a teenage Suspect going to jail and meeting people who are also locked up but enjoying infamy on the streets, all resulting from UK drill songs they had released while they were free. And I would expect that there was a certain level of admiration that Suspect might have had seeing his incarcerated peers making a name for themselves with drill music. And much like the UK rappers that he looked up to, it seemed that Suspect was also infatuated with Chicago drill music, being seen on Twitter declaring his appreciation for Lil Durk as early as 2013.
Hey, chat. Hey, chat.
However, it was clear during this time that Suspect wasn't happy with his circumstances in life. Already as a young kid, Suspect would tweet about his life being depressing and insinuating that his actions in the streets had already brought him dangerous enemies. Indeed, gangs do appear to have been part of Suspect's life for a long time. In his old Facebook posts, a young Suspect can be seen throwing up a C hand sign, but the meaning of this exact hand sign has been contentious and subject to debate amongst fans. It does seem that in 2012 to 2014, the C was referring at least partly to Cumbo, an estate which Suspect also appears to mention in early lyrics that he had posted to his Facebook. Ironically, at the time, gangs throwing up the C was incredibly similar to what the Los Angeles-based Crip gangs would do, and these London-based crews were seemingly taking a lot of inspiration from the Crips, opting to wear blue and using the blue paisley bandana to identify themselves in clothing, as seen on one of Suspect's 2012 Facebook posts where he called himself a CY.
I find it funny how, like, people be saying New York drill is from UK drill, but then UK drill has a lot of their, like, base foundation stuff off of drill from the States. Like, there really is no... I mean, there's pioneers for certain stuff, but there really is no pioneer.
IG. Elsewhere on his Facebook, he would post numerous pictures throwing up the C, as seen here with the caption, Seatown, Cumbo, Camsterdam. Suspect would also answer questions on his Facebook via a Q&A app called Ask FM, where he would reveal that he and his friends spent the majority of their time in 2014 in Somerstown or Cumbo, even explaining to people where Cumbo is. Although a young Suspect would also claim in these Q&As that he didn't particularly respect the older guys from his neighborhood.
What is... Hold on, bro. What does Cumbo's wet mean? Yeah, they be talking crazy.
Also claim in these Q&As that he didn't particularly respect the older guys from his neighborhood. In addition to the Cumbo C, all the way back in 2012, Suspect was seemingly also throwing up a CT for Cracktown. Later, around 2015, Suspect and his friends begun repping the letters CG. But once again, what those letters represent exactly is somewhat unclear, with some fans suggesting that they refer to either Camden Gang or Cumbo Gang, whilst others have suggested that CG was actually referring to Centric Gang, or the Centric Boys or Centric Crew, who had been active in Camden since at least the two...
Oh, okay. I mean, that That doesn't make sense, but I mean, like, at least you explained it.
Thousands. This theory appears to hold some water due to the fact that journalist Ismail Anashe explained in his blog that Centric Gang were a group of young Somali-based gangsters that had members all over the Camden borough. Because what we know for sure is that eventually Suspect began hanging out with many Somalian teenagers who hailed predominantly from Camden's Agar Grove estate, using the initials AG. This gang would eventually become known as Active Gang, and through 2013 and 2014, Suspect was extremely active on Facebook, working his way through numerous different accounts. He would post pictures of himself on the block with his gang, and continuing to answer Q&As, openly responding to questions from friends and probably anonymous ops, all about the...
You men are only known for snitching and getting bodied, because allowed in that height. I've been here ends more times at my mom's house this year. Wallah, yo, that nigga talking high.
Gang life that he was living as a teenager during these years. He would use these Q&As to diss rival gangs from nearby Rowley Way, with people asking him who's more certified in the streets, him or his friend S-Wavy. Suspect would explain how he was banned from Regent's High School in year 8, refusing to say why he got arrested, and explaining that while doing these Q&As that he's 14 and in year 9 at school, even naming and shaming his biggest ops in Camden and saying that he's going to beat up an op named Luke. At one point, he even gets pressed by an older G in his area who says, "Listen carefully, I don't want to hurt you. You're a young buck, but you can't come to my block," with a defiant Suspect telling this older gang member to catch them and taunting them, saying that
he said, come catch me.
That while doing these Q&As that he's 14 and in year 9 at school, even naming and shaming his biggest ops in Camden, and Priya, who says, "Listen carefully, I don't want to hurt you," them, and taunting them, saying that their estate is scared of him. Clearly as a teenager, Suspect had gotten himself deeply invested in the gang lifestyle, not just physically as a member, but mentally, and ultimately he would end up surrounded by fellow gang members with the same mindset and background as him. So let's take a closer look at the gang and some of the members who would run the streets with a young Suspect. Before we go any further, I've just got a quick favour to ask you. If you're enjoying this video and my channel in general, please consider subscribing to my Patreon to watch the fully uncut 4.5-hour version of it for just $2. And if you're feeling generous, for $10, you'll be able to get your named Patreon. Still, all the other business. If I had a bigger budget, I'd be able to make this a straw deal. More Patreon over thing, a network. Over the years, Suspect would build a network of young gang affiliates that he would run with in the streets of Camden. Part of this lifestyle was drug dealing, or trapping, as it's more commonly referred to in music. Suspect and his friends were deeply involved in the drug trade, and they didn't care who knew it. As the story goes, Active Gang, the most recent and famous incarnation of the Camden Gang set that Suspect claimed, was created around 2017 by local youths of predominantly Somalian backgrounds. The founding members came from around Agar Grove Road, not more than half a mile from Camden Town's most popular tourist attractions. Most had previously repped the older Camden sets like Centric Gang, Cracktown or CT1, much like Suspect. However, Suspect was not one of the original members in Active Gang, and he seemingly never actually lived around the Agar Grove estate. Now, Active Gang is commonly referred to with the initials AGB, with the full name, according to the fans, supposedly being the Active Gang Boys, Active Gang Bandits, or Active Gang Bloods. But regardless, there's a lot of names and faces that are going to be relevant when it comes to discussing Suspect's side of the war in Camden. One important name in the history of Camden gang beef is Mitch. He's often considered to be the founding father of the street crew that would eventually go by the name Active Gang, with some claiming that Active Gang was actually started in his honor after he passed away. Then there's his cousin, S45. You also have AK, and then there's SY, aka Stain, Striker, Hitman, and his brother Blitz, Broad Day, aka Broad Day Assassin or BA, S-Wavy, AR, aka Armed Response, there's Reeks, and also Too Smoky. Now, Active Gang members from Agar Grove would also link up with other sets from nearby neighborhoods, building alliances against their common enemies. Another street crew from the area that they're allied with is FSG, or Finesse, Stack and Grind, from the Denton and Ferdinand estates in the Chalk Farm neighborhood, with prominent members like T-Scam, who has made a name for himself as a rapper in recent years, as well as having...
So T-Scam won't even AG? Oh, that's crazy.
An extensive connection to street activity. Another area that's connected with the Active Gang crew is NRB, or the North Road Bandits, from the York Way estate and Corporation Street, including members like Yevs and ML, and of course the historic crew with origins from the Cracktown set, CT1, hailing from the Kernook, Three Fields and Bayham Place estates, with members like Traps and Alert. The alliance between these gangs will be known as 71st, based on the N7 and NW1 postcodes that these areas are located in. But of course, there's no such thing as a gang without ops. So now, let's take a closer look at the other side of the coin and understand the group of rivals that these young men have been in a years-long war with. Now, before I go any further, I just want to speak on the topic of postcode wars. A postcode, or as Americans might call it, a zip code, is the postage number corresponding to a specific area. In London, the idea of gangs warring over turf, specifically which postcode they're from, is very misunderstood. To many uneducated on gang conflicts, they seem to believe that these groups are quite literally warring over territory based on arbitrary numbers at the end of their mail. But it's important to me to explain that these gang wars in London are much deeper than the number at the end of a gang member's mail. While postcodes have become a prominent identifier in London gang wars, these beefs are historical feuds where blood has been spilled between friends, family, or in some cases races over years and decades.
I'm glad he knows that, because a lot of civilians, like a lot of the civs, they just be like, bro, why are they beefing over what zip code, or why are they beefing over where they live, or like, it has nothing to do with that. It never had anything to do with that. They just use those as identifiers. It never had anything to do with
As it often happens, gang alliances are often based on common enemies. And in the case of 71st, their enemy is called 51st, which is also an alliance between multiple gangs that they're at war with. This includes QC from Queen's Crescent and the West Kentish Town Estates, as well as Peckwater from the Peckwater Estates and the surrounding area in Kentish Town, which are both in the NW5 postcode. And then there's Cumbo from around Cumberland Market and the Regent's Park Estate in the NW1 postcode. Now, prominent members associated with the 51st postcode include C. Miz from the original Queen's Crescent set, or OQC. Then you have Culprit, also hailing from Cumbo, and another member allied to Peckwater, or the Waters, and a prominent rapper in his own right is Gutter, who has apparently gone by other names over the years. Other people involved go by the name of Action, aka Rex, Selly, aka Cell, or C2, affiliated with the Peckwater estate, but he would actually seemingly distance himself from the streets for a period, having ended up having a successful career as a model. There's also Lanks from Peckwater, Diggs from QC, Gambino, Frosty, Stings, Flips from Peckwater, JJ, Drills from QC, Lebs, Wanda, Creeps, Cons, RO, Goose, and R1. Now, that's not every single person from every single gang in Camden. That would be nearly impossible to find out, even if people do think I'm the FBI. But what it is really is a list of people who have been mentioned prominently in songs, the news, or in the local community. So now you know the history and the people involved, let's dive in and begin to unravel the origins of this bitter and years-long beef. It's often the case in some of the most vicious gang wars that many of the members on each side actually started out as childhood friends. The war in Camden is no exception, and in this case, some of these guys who ended up wanting to kill each other actually started life playing together on the playground. This is something that Suspect actually refers to in very menacing terms in lyrics to his song Dugout, where he raps, "It's crazy how everything played out, because the parks and streets he used to run around and play with his friends in are now the same places that he would be plunging a knife into the chest of one of those friends," and saying that the same streets that he would knock and ask his friends to come and play out on ended up being the same place where he would be hunting for those friends turned ops and asking them to come out so that he could kill them. It's a sad state of affairs, and the self-awareness that Suspect had about these childhood friendships turned deadly beefs is chilling. However, as has happened many times before in these stories, from Chicago to Camden, once the youngsters from impoverished backgrounds get older and fall more heavily into the gang lifestyle, former friendships slowly break down until something happens that forces everybody to choose.
That is actually crazy, because I don't know. He posts a lot of music. Posts a lot of music. He make a lot of music. He's mentioned a lot. So like, why would his? I mean, it is, but like, still, it's not like. Yeah.
Choose their side for good. Moreover, many of these youngsters had become used to the violence from a young age. For example, Mitch, an S45 from AGB, would experience the loss of their cousin Lefty, real name Muhammad Abdullahi, as early as 2013, when he was brutally stabbed to death. According to this story, Lefty's murder stemmed from a beef between young and old members from around the Peckwater estate. And Lefty was also allegedly not only a cousin of Mitch and S45, but also a Peckwater OG called Wage, who was supposedly a big brother of Mitch and a former member of a gang called TMS. TMS consisted of mostly Somali youths from Camden.
Sounds weird. 37.
It's often the case in
It's not unless he showed it on the screen. It's not up here. Didn't put it up there. He didn't put it up there. It's not up there, bro. I can't lie.
Streets that he would not. When backgrounds get older and fall more heavily into the gang lifestyle, former friendships slowly break down until something happens that forces everybody to choose their side for good. Moreover, many of these youngsters had become used to the violence from a young age. For example, Mitch and S45 from AGB would experience the loss of their cousin Lefty.
Oh, I'm thinking I'm slow. Where is it? If you're talking about the big,
from the original Queen's Crescent set, or OQC. Then you have Culprit, also hailing from Cumbo, and another member allied to Peckwater.
He's not showing like the full. I know what you're talking about though. I saw it. He's not showing the full thing. I don't know how far I gotta go back to find it. I can't find it. He plays you on the screen how many times? Yeah, I can't find it, bro. They not.
It's called 51st, which is.
Wait. Cons? Look, oh, I see it. It's at the bottom.
Also an alliance between multiple.
Name not up there, nothing up there.
B would experience the loss of their cousin Lefty, real name Mohammed Abdullahi, as early as 2013 when he was brutally stabbed to death. According to this story, Lefty's murder stemmed from a beef between a cousin of myths from and a former member of a gang called TMS. TMS consisted of mostly Somali youths from Camden in the late 2000s and early 2010s, with one of the latest mentions of TMS being from a blog post in 2011. As suggested by some experts on the topic on Reddit, it's possible that eventually Mitch and other members of AGB, who are predominantly of Somalian background, ended up inheriting some of the existing beefs from older gang members that they were close to, and similar stories continue to circulate on Reddit in the past few years. However, it also seems that during the mid-2010s, gangs in Camden stayed relatively united. Many of the youngsters who would later start beefing were allegedly together in this music video. However, around 2016, a number of unfortunate events would transpire in the streets, causing friction between these young men. According to one rumor on Reddit, things started after a member from Active Gang stole a watch from another man called Merce Dikanda from Peckwater. However, as always with Reddit rumors, many people firmly deny that the watch incident even happened or that it had any significant effect on the beef. But whatever may have transpired around this time, as far as I could tell, it seems that Suspect largely stayed on the fence in the brewing beef, and he would end up missing much of the events that transpired in the streets due to being in prison during these years. The exact timings of his incarceration seem shaky, but in May 2016, people were commenting on Suspect's Facebook saying, "Free him." And based on the information from his later legal proceedings, he also has convictions from 2017 for assaulting a constable and violent disorder. And at some point in 2017, Suspect would find himself behind bars again, this time not getting out until the following year. But while he would remain locked up, the beef was about to go to the next level, as over the course of 2017, a number of connected incidents would play out, escalating the violence in the streets and separating this group of former friends into opposing gangs that ended up in a full-blown war. Going into 2017, the war in Camden would intensify, and violent acts would play out all over the city, leaving the authorities one step behind, constantly trying to get a grasp of the spiraling violence in their community. On May 5th, 2017, one of the first more well-documented major escalations in the war would take place. At around midnight, Camden police would receive numerous calls about a shooting taking place near Camden Road train station, right at the heart of Camden's tourist district. After arriving at the scene, they failed to locate any suspects, but would soon receive a call from the University College Hospital in South Camden about two shooting victims who were behaving aggressively. One was a 16-year-old boy who initially refused treatment for his bullet wounds and was arrested for assaulting a police officer during the commotion at the hospital. The other, a 21-year-old man who had also sustained bullet wounds, would refuse treatment and attempt to leave the hospital upon finding out the police had been called. Both of them would be arrested on the spot, while a third teen aged 17 would also be arrested in Camden Town after a short foot chase by officers. All three of the individuals were arrested on suspicion of GBH, or grievous bodily harm with intent. But as two of the suspects were juveniles, not much information was available about the incident other than what was on the news. The next major incident would occur a few months later, this time on the home territory of Active Gang at the Lulworth House Tower at the heart of the Agar Grove estate. According to newspapers, on the 22nd of August, armed officers locked down the car park next to Lulworth Tower after reports of a shooting around 7 p.m. Someone from the building would even catch a video of officers patrolling the car park after the attack. However, when they arrived there were reportedly no victims at the scene. But after an investigation, the police were able to locate the victim, who had in fact gotten shot but was still able to drive themselves to a hospital, despite bleeding profusely. Only a few weeks later, on September the 4th, around noon, 20-year-old Mitch, real name Mohammed Adar Mohammed, from Agar Grove, was walking down Hampstead Road near the Mornington Crescent train station in Camden, when he would be confronted by Flips, real name Eric Akam, from the Peckwater estate. Flips apparently pulled an 8-inch kitchen knife from his waistband, and according to police, at this point Mitch backed away from Flips with his arms outstretched, and at this point Mitch was stabbed suddenly several times in the arm, neck, and back. After being stabbed, Mitch ran across Hampstead Road before collapsing in the street. These events all unfolded right in front of a plainclothes police officer who at this point begun to chase Flips along Hampstead Road. Whilst running from the police, Flips threw the knife onto a nearby railway track, where the knife was later recovered, still covered in blood. After a short chase, Flips was finally detained and arrested for the homicide in nearby Harrington Street. And when asked why he ran, Flips bluntly said, "Because I had a knife and I was scared." Meanwhile, members of the public would desperately attempt to save Mitch's life, with one passerby holding a scarf to his neck before emergency services arrived. And a doctor from London's air ambulance would perform emergency surgery at the scene in an attempt to stop the bleeding. But unfortunately, Mitch would succumb to his injuries and pass away. This was now the second young man lost to knife crime within his family, with his cousin Mohammed Abdullahi, aka Lefty, having been fatally stabbed in the heart in 2013. These two murders had taken place just a mile away from each other. During the trial, Flips would claim self-defense, arguing that Mitch was rumored to have previously shot and injured two of Flips's friends. Another 51st affiliate would take the stand, giving testimony that Mitch had shot him just days before the murder, but the judge didn't believe this, stating that it was clear that the witness came to court to lie for Flips. And so, on December the 21st, 2018, Flips was found guilty of murder and 2 charges of carrying a knife in a public place, with one of those being an incident that took place 3 months earlier, and he was sentenced to a minimum of 17 years in jail. Ultimately, more blood had been shed in this ongoing gang war, and members were now picking their sides and planning retaliation. Soon after the murder of Mitch in October 2017, police in Camden were on high alert due to the increasing violence in the borough between what they described as drug gangs. However, despite the police attempts to show the community that they were taking gang activity seriously, unfortunately, as we'll see throughout this story, the authorities are always one step behind these warring gangs. And moving into 2018, the clashes between these groups would get even more deadly, with the police unable to protect the public from the wanton violence that had been unleashed onto the streets of Camden.
How do you even live in an area like this? Like, 3 murders in 3 days is actually insane.
Moving into 2018, the Camden streets were hot. Since the murder of Mitch, which followed back-to-back shootings, it's safe to say that the police were unable to get a grip on the violence. And in February, over the course of just a few days, 3 men would lose their lives in a series of loosely connected attacks. On the night between the 17th and the 18th of February 2018, a girl was holding her 16th birthday party at an Airbnb in Kensington, SW5 West London on Earls Court Road. The girl apparently wanted to invite...
Hey, bro. Why did you get a text message saying your vehicle has violated the regulations and has not paid the parking fee from a random FDLAYU at, like, bro, these scammers gotta try harder.
Around 50 people, including girls she went to school with and boys that she knew from social media. There were also allegedly boys from a gang called ZT, or Zero Tolerance, which hails from Hackney Fields, Blackstone and the Moorland estate. Later on, the Old Bailey court were told that the girl throwing the party had been particularly careful not to invite any boys from Camden, because apparently she was aware of the history between the boys from Hackney and the boys from Camden. But despite this, the address of the rented flat that was used for the party circulated online, and eventually Lewis Blackman, aka Dots, or Dotty, from the Peckwater estate would receive details of the event, making plans to gate crash the party.
Yeah, bro, I get a text like every 3 days from a scammer. It's like, bro, y'all gotta stop. Like,
with a group of around 10 other people from Camden at about 3 AM. Dotty and his group would reportedly arrive to the event and cause havoc, entering the flat brandishing knives and bats, causing damage to the flat, with some partygoers fleeing over a back wall. One defendant, believed to be the rapper Boogie B from OFB, would claim in court that whilst at the party, Dots had grabbed him, snatched his phone and necklace, with the phone apparently being a joint birthday and Christmas present that his mother was still paying for him, and the chain being a crucifix handed to him by his father on the only occasion they had ever met. After robbing him, Dottie allegedly pinned Boogie against a wall by the scruff of his neck and slashed him in the arm. Boogie would claim that he intended to leave the area before hearing Dottie shout, "Come and get it and I'll shiv you up," prompting him to turn around, with Boogie saying that at this point he lost control. Boogie began to run after Dottie, with 19 others following him. 12 of them were armed with knives, and one was armed with a stick. Dottie would quickly fall behind his friends, ducking behind a car and jumping out, facing the group of attackers. This moment would actually be captured by a nearby CCTV camera, showing the frightening moment when Dots realized he was far outnumbered. He would then turn off and begin to run after a very short standoff. But unfortunately, in a moment that was caught by yet another CCTV camera, the group would soon catch up to Dottie, with Boogie B delivering the first blow. Boogie moved in and delivered the final wound to Dottie, claiming this is when he recovered his stolen goods. Police would discover Dottie at around 3:20 AM after they were called to Logan Place over reports of a large number of vehicles in the area. Boogie B was sentenced to 20 years for his part in the murder. A shrine would later be erected on the Peckwater estate in honor of Lewis Blackman. As you're probably wondering now, what does this unfortunate event have to do with the beef between 51st and 71st? Well, on its own, nothing. However, as we'll discuss next, this night put events in motion that would result in another night of horrific revenge attacks that would leave 2 71st affiliated young men dead. With all this happening, despite the fact that Dottie lost his life at the hands of another crew completely unrelated to this beef. Since he was a prominent member of the gangs affiliated with the 51st postcode estates, Dottie's friends would be left grieving, and his enemies would be celebrating, despite not being involved in the murder. But then, days later, on February the 20th, 2018, at around 7 PM, a large group of 51st affiliates, including Gambino, Frosty, and Stings, will be seen at a vigil for Dottie on the Peckwater estate. Then, at about 7:30, they would be seen leaving in a stolen Mercedes van, spray-painted black, and a stolen silver 3 Series BMW. At around 8:30, CCTV would capture the BMW in the NW5 postcode. The car was following 16-year-old Abdi Karim Hassan, a youth better known on the street as AK, walking on Bartholomew Road. Moments later, he was attacked and stabbed too. He was stabbed in his chest and back, and unfortunately he would die at the scene. It's believed that these two vehicles drove to Hackney and Tottenham in the hopes that they would find the people or gangs directly responsible for the death of Dottie, as they knew Dottie's killers identified as members from OFB or the original Farm Boys from Tottenham and ZT or Zero Tolerance from Hackney. Next, the van filled with gang members would travel back towards the Camden area. 4 masked men would jump out of the Mercedes van and run after 2 young men, one of them being 20-year-old Sadiq Mohammed, also known as S45. He would seek refuge in the backseat of a passing car on Malden Road and reportedly pleaded for the driver to take him to safety, shouting, "Go, go, go."
I've seen this clip. I've seen this clip on Twitter. I didn't know he actually died until like I started listening to UK music, but I've seen this clip on Twitter. Like they was, and I knew they was trying to like stab him, but it didn't look like they was like really trying to get to him because the dude was in the front and obviously there was a camera, but once he got out the car, and that was the end of it.
Drive, drive. But the female driver, assuming that she was being robbed, would get out of the car and flee. The 4 men would converge on the car, and despite S45's best efforts to keep the doors closed, he would be dragged out of the vehicle. He was thrown to the ground and repeatedly stabbed, and unfortunately, he would later die from his injuries at the scene, with the news describing the tragic outcome of 2 men being left dead within just hours of each other. After the Camden community had been rocked by this horrific wave of violence...
Actually, yeah, once they said dragged out of the car, he didn't get dragged out of the car, so never mind, it's not the same clue.
The area was described by the local news as being in a state of shock. Police will be seen combing through multiple crime scenes for evidence following the murders, with a forensic tent and cordon seen near the murder location of AK near Bartholomew Road that night, with officers continuing to investigate into the morning. Mitch and S45's mother would be...
What you mean, Uncle Drive? What is that?
Interviewed by the BBC following the incident, in an emotional segment grieving the loss of 2 sons in a matter of months and begging the youth in Camden to put down their knives.
5 months and lost 2 sons. I beg you, people that got to knife children, say stop please. Please and please.
Later that month, 1,000 concerned citizens took to the streets of Camden for a march against violence, demanding action on knife crime. The mother of Mitch and S45, who was leading the charge and the procession, even stopped at the location of the murder, before coming to its end at the location of Mitch's murder. The Member of Parliament for the area, Keir Starmer, would attend the march and speak to the crowd. And despite the apparent cuts to police funding in the area, while the community were marching, the underfunded police were working to try and find the perpetrators. Sting's, real name Isaiah Papula, was arrested just after the night of violence, caught on February the 22nd, 2018, after attempting to discard the car key for the BMW used in the crimes, which was found parked in the local area. On the 9th of July 2019, Stings was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 28 years for the murder of S45, and he would also get life with a minimum of 9 years for the manslaughter of AK. A mobile phone attributed to Frosty, real name Ben Drummond, was also found in the console of that searched BMW, and he was ultimately also jailed for life with a minimum of 23 years served. Gambino, real name Godwin Lungi, would successfully flee the country to France, but ultimately he didn't get far enough out of Europe to evade the authorities, and he was ultimately arrested and brought back to the UK to face trial. And Gambino would be convicted of the murder of S45 and violent disorder on the 2nd of March 2020. On the 18th of July, he would be sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 21 years, as well as a 3-year sentence for violent disorder to be served concurrently. At least 3 people were held responsible for the taking of 2 young men's lives before their time. It's believed that these incidents of mass violence is what actually caused the police to start investigating the gang war in Camden more closely.
I mean, at least like when somebody died, the police actually found them and gave them, you know, proper charges. Like in the States, it might have even with that amount of evidence, it still might have took them long to find it and have the trial. I don't know why they be taking so long to have trials for people, but they be taking forever. It's like they just want to keep them in jail. It makes no sense.
Clearly, the police and authorities were trying to get a grip on the spiraling violence in their community, and now it was time for the politicians to step in and try and do something too. Later that year, in September the 21st, 2018, Camden Youth Safety Task Force, chaired by local MP Keir Starmer, would release a report recommending how to keep young people safe in Camden. The release event even included the announcement of £500,000 in funding to try and help the council, partners, and the community to act upon the report's recommendations. And so, as Keir Starmer stood there at his podium, brandishing his glossy brochure that offered promises on how to fix the problems on Camden streets,
they just left too much evidence. Because usually they don't be leaving that much evidence. They left way too much evidence.
Pointing out the problems caused by Camden's lost and neglected youth who fell through the cracks, emerging from the shadows, fresh out of prison, was one of those young men who had been forgotten by the system, left behind by society, and failed by the state who should have protected him. And
come on, bro.
Who had been forgotten.
That girl form in the bottom is some shit. 2 hands on the ball? Shit, no guy hand.
Forgotten by the system, left behind by society, and failed by the state who should have protected him. And that young man was suspect. When he did return to the streets of Camden, he did so with a bitter grudge, grieving the loss of his friends who had lost their lives in back-to-back murders that the city had failed to prevent in 2018, and ultimately ready to unleash pain, death, and destruction on the very streets that made him. I'm here at the Queen's Crescent Community Centre. This is the hub for the local community, but also where you'll find the local MP Keir Starmer paying his respects to the community in the midst of any kind of serious knife crime attack. Its association with the ongoing knife crime epidemic is made even more clear by the mural to Calvin Bungisa, aka C-Miz, who lost his life in April 2019. The Metropolitan Police released dashcam footage showing several men armed with large blades chasing him down and ultimately taking his life. Today, a large mural remains here reading Miz World, which keeps Calvin's memory alive, but also reminds everybody of this shocking murder that took...
Bro, this just sounds like an ongoing Criminal Minds episode. Like, if you ever watch Criminal Minds, when they're chasing the killer, it's like they get closer and closer to catching him, but someone always end up dead. That's what it sounds like.
Place on a busy London street. By the end of 2018, the streets of Camden had gotten as deadly as they had ever been, and the situation there had become a crisis. But little did the community or authorities know that the worst was yet to come. In fact, on November the 7th, 2018, one of the first actual songs in this particular Camden gang war is released. Pegwater members Lanx, C2, and Action released their track What Happened. Filmed in front of the convenience store near the Pegwater estate where AK lost his life, it featured lyrics where they appear to claim to have killed 2 of their ops, seemingly a direct reference to the murders of AK and S45. And now they were beginning to use music to boast and brag about the murders of Mitch AK and S45. This clearly had a huge impact on the members of the estates in the 71st postcode. T-Scam would later rap in his Cold Room freestyle about how hurt he was to lose AK and his intentions to kill anyone who spoke ill on his friend's name. And more so, Suspect himself, who would rap on the later song Turn Up about how much he missed AK and S45 and his intention to kill anyone involved in their deaths. However, Suspect himself was still incarcerated when his two friends lost his lives. Then, some point later after this incident, he was released from prison back onto the streets of Camden. Suspect later claimed in his song Test My Temper that he had devilish thoughts when he was in jail and that when he was released, he came out to raise hell in the streets. Around these times, Suspect would also be seen on social media looking for his ops on the Peckwater estate.
Yeah? Know where I be at. Nobody outside.
However, one of the most brutal instances of violence that Suspect was allegedly involved in would take place in early 2019, marking the start of an extremely violent year. In 2019, many members who had been locked up were released, and Fresh Home 71st members from their various estates wanted revenge for the 3 murders of their friends that took place before people went to prison. At around 1 AM on the 15th of February 2019, a 51st affiliate who went by the name G Squeeze was walking past a Sainsbury's supermarket chain in Cumbo's territory near the Regent's Park. According to a report by London's Evening Standard, he was rammed by an SUV. Then, several 71st members exited the vehicle, attacking him with knives and stabbing him repeatedly in his body and head, leaving him with what the newspaper described as life-changing injuries. Apparently, Suspect was one of these people instigating the attack, and he and other active gang members would taunt G-Squeeze relentlessly in his music and social media going forward, and even boastfully rapping about how many of their ops they've put on the bonnet of their cars and rammed with vehicles. On the 28th of March 2019, Active Gang would release their first music video, a track called Money and Violence, featuring verses from members Suspect, Broad Day, and Hitman. The track features a menacing intro where Suspect reps his allegiance to the original crew Cracktown and Active Gang, as well as dissing the 51st postcode, and references to using zombie knives and firearms. In the verse, Suspect raps about how he lies to his mother when she asks if he's going to change his violent ways, as well as saying RIP to S45 and rapping about how the beef is still active in the streets and he continues to stab his enemies. Then, on the third verse, Hitman would hit the mic, claiming to be hood famous and the Active Gang are the kings of Camden, claiming that the ops are on ropes since Suspect got out of jail, and claiming to be in the Cumbo and Peckwater estates looking to kill. Despite showing some promise as rappers, clearly the members of Active Gang were primarily focused on their activities in the streets, as only days after this song released, yet another murder would play out on the streets of Camden, with Active Gang members openly claiming responsibility. C-Miz, real name Calvin Bangisa, was a British Congolese young man whose family came to the UK to escape the civil war in Congo and search for a better life. C-Miz was allegedly an older member of the original Queen's Crescent Gang, or OQC, a set that was apparently beefing with several other gangs around Camden, including gangs that would later unite under the 71st Alliance, and he had allegedly even been in physical altercations with many members of the Alliance in the months leading up to his death. C-Miz was allegedly known by another name in the streets, C-Murder, but despite an alleged reputation as a killer in the streets in an unrelated incident, it was ultimately an altercation with members from Active Gang that would end up taking the life of C-Miz. According to these rumors, C-Miz was regularly dissing dead members from rival gangs on social media, such as Mitch and S45, and not long before his death, he even allegedly had attacked Suspect unsuccessfully, ultimately leading to Active Gang to actively hunt.
Hold on. Oh wow.
Him down in the days that followed. On the 1st of April 2019, around 8:30 PM, as C-Miz and his cousin were getting out of a taxi in the Gospel Oak neighborhood, he would unfortunately be unaware that at that moment he was indeed being followed by members of Active Gang. And upon getting out of the cab, 4 masked men driving behind got out of a dark Volkswagen Bora that had been stolen 4 days before. The 4 masked men began running towards the pair. One of these men was allegedly Suspect, and another was SY, accompanied by other affiliates from Active Gang. Unfortunately, C-Miz, the main target, was being chased, and during this foot chase he tripped. C-Miz would fall to the ground, where he was kicked and stabbed relentlessly. At 9:01 PM, about half an hour after police had been called, C-Miz was unfortunately pronounced dead at the scene. Months later in June, C-Miz would finally be laid to rest in a large funeral attended by his family, friends, and the larger community. After his death, at least 2 graffiti murals were made in his memory, one around his death scene on the Grafton Road Bridge, and another at the Queen's Crescent Community Centre. His death clearly touched many in the community. Suspect and the others were seemingly celebrating following the brutal murder of C-Miz, with Active Gang members believed to have been involved in the murder posting victoriously on social media, with Suspect later posting a Snapchat story of someone holding an Active Gang cap in front of one of the murals combined with laughing emojis. And once again, they would later end up dissing C-Miz relentlessly in their music. Suspect would also often refer to C-Miz's Congolese background, rapping how they're not smoking stuff from California, but from Congo, using the common trope in drill music to figuratively smoke one's ops, even referring to C-Miz by his family name, claiming to be smoking Bungisa. In fact, one particularly disrespectful song featuring Too Smoky and Arms would circulate, titled Congo, where Arms rapped that they're smoking Congo and that his friend killed C-Miz. Meanwhile, due to the high number of Somalians in the 71st postcode gangs, rumours circulated in the community that gang members from Queen's Crescent of West African heritage were planning to kill any Somalians that they see as vengeance for the attack on C-Miz, raising once again fears about a race war erupting between gangs of different ethnicities in Camden.
Revenge for Calvin's killing, and his friends have literally said they are going to go out and kill any Somali in retaliation.
Basically, if you're Somali, yeah, and you're around Camden, get back inside. There must have been some beef and someone called Calvin died. The friends of that person are looking to kill a Somali person.
Despite the ongoing disrespect, over a year would pass and no one was charged with the killing of C-Miz. Later, his family would speak to the press again, opening up about the devastation that his death had caused for the family and emphasizing how they need justice for their son, with Calvin's mother saying the local community knew who killed her son, but the police do nothing. And in the wake of the murder of C-Miz, the highest ranking police officer in Camden would rub salt in the wounds, on April the 10th, 2019, telling the community that it was their responsibility to solve the crime, not the police, and admonishing the community for not snitching, telling them that the—
What? So they supposed to go outside and put their life on the line when they see what's going on. Niggas is getting ran down on and stabbed to death. These are civilians we're talking about. Why you gotta go put their life on the line because y'all cops don't want to do it? Y'all the ones with the straps, legally. They getting illegal weapons. Like, all their straps is illegal. So, I mean, I don't know. That's wicked. And saying they got a snitch? Bro, a lot of them, you know how bad it is for, like, they running in people's cribs, kicking in doors. That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, if anyone snitched, they gonna know who did it, and now they gonna run in their crib, and they not sparing women and children no more. So it's like, that's not even, you're crazy.
Police were frustrated that people in the room likely knew the killers' names but wouldn't tell them. 2 days later, Keir Starmer would host another event at the same location, holding a town hall at the Queen's Crescent Community Centre and telling the community that they cannot allow this to continue. He would even tell the audience that they didn't want to be here again after having held similar meetings a year before after
they do all that shit and don't shit change and niggas keep dying. I'm not trying to hear that.
The murders of AK and S45. And after telling the community that he wouldn't let the violence continue, sadly, nothing would change. And so, the community that Keir Starmer was elected to represent would indeed continue to suffer violent incidents.
So if you got the police talking about some, we need y'all help, we need y'all to find them, we need y'all to snitch, because you trying to say that the community knows who did it. The community knows who did it because they're in tune with the people. So they know the gangs, what's the gang beef, what's going on. They know the gang beefs too, but since they don't have no real evidence, they can't convict nobody. But at the same time, I don't think there should be a loophole to automatically convict somebody because of, like, just knowing they did it. But, like, at some point, something got to give, because even if you don't have no evidence, it's crazy. He the prime minister that runs England? Hey, man, listen. I don't live there, so...
And it would only be a matter of months until another young man in Camden would lose his life at the hands of out-of-control gang violence.
That shit is wicked.
I'm here at the spot where Alex Smith, also known as Culprit, unfortunately lost his life at the young age of 16. In reports following the murder, it was claimed that he had frantically banged on his neighbours' doors looking for help. But unfortunately, nobody opened up. But then again, when you consider just how brutal the attack on him was, who could blame them for wanting...
See, when a lot of their deaths, I don't understand them. If you got people chasing you with knives, why are you wasting time banging on doors, looking for help? You need to be getting away, getting out of sight, and getting going. You trying to wait on somebody else or expect someone else to help you? Especially if they've been hearing about what's going on, they're not helping you. They're not opening the door. Like,
to stay safe behind a locked door. This mural here stands today as a reminder not just of the life of Alex, but also of the brutal war that played out on these streets. On the night of the 19th of May 2019, police were called to a hospital in North London after a teenager had arrived there with numerous stab wounds, his condition soon after turning critical. This teenager would turn out to be the active gang member AR, or Armed Response, real name Arif Bayomi. After AR's condition got better, he was reportedly interviewed by the police, but refused to give a witness statement about what had happened. However, he did open up about the attack likely resulting from him being a member of the Agar Grove gang, an admission of association that he would probably learn to regret later on.
You're not supposed to do that, bro. Oh. Bro, you're never supposed to admit you're in. Bro, I'm like, what be wrong with them?
Despite the lack of cooperation by AR, the police would eventually do their jobs and find out the events that had taken place. According to court documents, that night, 2 members of the Cumbo gang, part of 51st, were driving in a stolen Audi looking for their ops. Eventually, they would spot members of the active gang who were riding in another vehicle, with a vicious attack being launched on the occupants of that car. This left AR with several serious stab wounds to his chest and abdomen, which landed him in the hospital for several weeks. Besides the events of that day eventually becoming notorious to drill music fans, soon the authorities would also catch up to this ongoing street activity. The police would later locate the Audi, finding 2 sets of fingerprints belonging to Cumbo affiliates RH and RO. However, neither would seemingly be charged with the attack at the time, with the police seemingly not having enough evidence to connect them to the crime. However, unfortunately,
you got somebody's fingerprints in a whip that was used to stab somebody, but they don't have enough evidence? I mean, they gotta be smart though. The way these niggas be moving like mob, like mafia, like.
Street justice would soon play out. The next victim would be a teenager named Alex Smith, better known by his peers on the street as Culprit. 16-year-old Culprit was seemingly affiliated with the 51st Estate Cumbo, and he could be seen on his social media posts hanging out in the block with other members.
Everything covered up.
However, according to some, Culprit himself was involved in the violence and played a prominent role, not just in the streets, but also in drill music where people spoke on the violence. The freestyle by Culprit has circulated online that features a peculiar cover art, depicting another young man's head pasted on a sign stating, "Stop killing the Mandem." The person whose head this is was an alleged affiliate of the Cali Road gang that Culprit was known to have a beef with, a 17-year-old teenager who went by the nickname Neds, real name Nadeem Bilgin. On 7 PM of the 29th of January 2019, Neds was killed on a busy Caledonian Road, and although several people were arrested soon after his death, the case remains unsolved to this day. Culprit clearly had no sympathy. He would apparently make a song called CRK, or Cali Road Killer, where he seemingly disses Neds, using that cover art that depicted Neds holding the sign saying "Stop killing the Mandem." Now, it's unclear how true the rumours of Culprit being a killer himself are, as the murder of Neds remains unsolved, but based on the content of his lyrics and social media postings which were preserved, clearly at this point, Culprit appeared to be deeply involved in the gang lifestyle. Anyway, in August 2019, Camden was hot, and the police were active in the streets trying to get ahead of the violence. Active gang members were still looking to cause harm to their ops and get revenge for what happened to Armed Response, as videos of them spinning the blocks and smoking to unreleased music would later circulate. Unfortunately, on the 12th of August 2019, active gang members would end up getting just what they were looking for, as that evening, Culprit had been spending the night hanging out with friends. Later, they would head to a Nando's restaurant on Great Portland Street in the Cumbo neighborhood. There's even a picture of Alex in that Nando's eating what would end up being his last meal with fellow Cumbo affiliate Gutter. Meanwhile, on the Agar Grove estate, police would later establish through a combination of ANPR, which in the UK is automatic number plate recognition that automatically reads the license plates of passing cars, as well as CCTV and cell site evidence that active gang members, Armed Response, and a young man who was helping him run his County Lines operation had spent that day travelling in a stolen blue Seat Leon with fake plates in the port city of Southampton, around 2 hours away from London. Apparently the group had planned an attack on their ops in London, so they had returned to London in the stolen Seat together, arriving at AR's address at around 9:50 PM.
So you gonna tell me you need the citizens to snitch, and you got automatic plate recognition? Hey, bro, listen, I ain't never seen this level of security, and they can't solve murder. I've never seen it before.
Yeah, they would stay there for around 20 minutes before leaving the home in the blue Seat where suspect was living. That car would arrive just after a white Ford Fiesta, also with stolen plates, at around 10:30 PM. Later court documents would reveal that while at suspect's house, his runner was offered drugs by Somalian boys who he claimed not to have met, but it's believed that these boys were SY and S-Wavy. Along with suspect, this made up a deadly trio that would later be referred to in music as Triple S. Just before 11 PM, both cars left and went to number 8 Longford Street, a block associated associated with Cumbo arriving shortly after 11 p.m. The Seat was being driven by AR, with Reeks in the front passenger seat and his runner in the back seat. Meanwhile,
yeah, but you can tell. But the thing is, though, like in the States, people do it all the time. They wear fake plates, right? But it's easy to tell when somebody got fake plates, because most of the time, well, I don't know if they do that in the UK, because in the UK, but like, see, that one has Fiesta on it. Most of the time, the fake plates have like a name or like a word or something, so you obviously know it's fake. So yeah, you can't track the car, but just track that plate, because even if the number doesn't come back, you can still scan the plate. So like, I don't know what they be talking about.
The Ford was being driven by SY, with Suspect in the front passenger seat and S-Wavy in the back seat. So that deadly trio, Triple S, were all travelling in the Ford. Right before, just at around 10:30 p.m, culprit had left the Nando's restaurant on Great Portland Street, proceeding northbound with 3 friends, one of whom was actually believed to have been involved in the attack on AR just months earlier. It's believed that the car carrying Triple S spotted culprit and his group and identified them as the ops they were looking for, with Suspect apparently jumping out of the car on Longford Street and proceeding on foot wielding a foot-long machete and making no attempts to conceal it. This was likely a large zombie knife, the kind of blade that Suspect would rap fondly about throughout his career as a drill rapper. Culprit would seemingly notice them taking off running to an estate on the north side of Euston Road, where they were likely trying to hide from Suspect's crew. Suspect, S-Wavy and Reeks would then leave the building on Longford Street, but instead of getting back into the cars, they would remain on foot, taking chase while the drivers of the car attempted to keep eyes on the victims and cut off their escape. During this foot chase, Suspect was seen by members of the public brandishing that foot-long machete openly, whilst
hey man, they just, I don't know, they're not working hard enough, I don't know.
Desperately trying to escape his attackers, culprit would frantically knock on the doors of nearby houses, begging people for help, but no one would answer him. The court would later hear that it was believed that the attackers mistakenly believed that they were chasing one of the people involved in the stabbing of AR. However, once they caught up, it simply didn't matter who it was, they would be exacting street revenge. Culprit would ultimately be outrun by his attackers in Munster Square near Regent's Park, where AG members would fatally stab him in the chest. A post-mortem would reveal that culprit was stabbed at least twice, with one being a fatal stab wound to the chest. But unfortunately, culprit would be pronounced dead at the scene at 11:33 p.m. And the following day, police would be seen combing yet another Camden crime scene for evidence. After the killing, Suspect, S-Wavy and Reeks waited nearby until they were picked up in the Ford Fiesta, with that car driving off with the Seat not far behind. Both cars were driven to the Kilburn area, and minutes after the stabbing, AR would attempt to call Y-Traps 5 times before finally getting through to him at 11:21 p.m. Just before 2 a.m, his runner unsuccessfully attempted to purchase gasoline in a plastic jerry can at Tesco Esso in Maida Vale, and then 10 minutes later, he was seen on CCTV successfully purchasing £2.59 worth of petrol. The fuel was then used to burn the Seat used in the crime, and its charred remains were later found in East Barnet, whilst the Fiesta was found burnt in Kilburn Park. After news of culprit's murder went public, the local community formed a memorial at the spot where he lost his life, soon becoming a symbol where 51st affiliates would pay tribute to their fallen friend. However, conversely, some of those who had been hurt by culprit's actions in the streets would return to deface the mural. One particularly brutal diss song relating to culprit's death came a year after the killing, with active gang member 2 Smokey releasing a song titled Knock Down Ginger aimed squarely at culprit. This is a song essentially mocking culprit for knocking on doors as he ran for his life, comparing it to a game of Knock Down Ginger, or as Americans would call it, Ding Dong Ditch. Unsurprisingly, following culprit's death, the violence in Camden seemed to escalate further, with 3 people getting killed in 5 days in September 2019 alone. At this point, Camden was a war zone, and as usual, nothing was being done about it. Interestingly, local MP Keir Starmer didn't appear to comment on the death of culprit directly in the immediate aftermath of the murder. However, in an interview at the end of August, when asked about the topic of knife crime, he would sidestep mentioning culprit's murder, simply saying that they have a serious problem with knife crime and mentioning the previous killings in his community, AK, S45 and C-Miz. Keir Starmer would then go on to assure people that despite failings at preventing gruesome knife murders, Camden is still safe. But Camden was not safe, not by a long shot. However, in one area, progress was being made.
Right, well, he throwing me off more than the actual drillers. Like, why he trying to say it's safe when he know it's not? He not doing nothing. He gonna ignore the fact that somebody just died, and it was a kid. Like, yeah, he throwing me off.
Because while gangs were still running amok in the streets of Camden, this time the police were closing in on Suspect and his accomplices, or so they thought. Because while they were gathering evidence to arrest Suspect for the murder of culprit and building up a tight case to put one of Camden's most prolific killers behind bars, they would soon realize it wouldn't be so easy. Because even with all the evidence in the world, if they wanted to arrest Suspect, they would first have to catch him.
Bro, because it's like, you gotta think about it from, imagine being a civilian that lives in this area. You hear about these people getting stabbed, chased, the killers using stolen vehicles, burning the vehicle after. Like, people are gonna, that's not safe. You're gonna put people in a state of panic. And you keep saying it'll be all right. The place is, it's not safe. Like, and you're not doing anything to make it safe.
Following the murder of culprit, real name Alex Smith, it would appear that the police were finally ready to take decisive action. Or perhaps culprit's killers had simply been so sloppy in carrying out this brazen attack that the police for once had everything they needed to put the borough's most prolific killers behind bars for good. It's likely that those responsible for the murder of culprit knew themselves that they had been sloppy, because in the immediate aftermath, those involved took steps to try and cover their tracks and flee the authorities before they had a chance to catch up with them. Once the vehicles used in the crime had been set alight, members from active gang that were involved plotted to leave the United Kingdom for good in an effort to avoid a lifetime in prison. In the days shortly following the murder, Suspect and S. Wavy would flee the country. There were stories suggesting that Suspect had first escaped to France, with one video showing him in the hood with local gangsters. The Redditor who first posted this clip actually took the time to explain its supposed origins, claiming that Suspect was actually hiding out in a North Paris suburb for 2 months, and it was here that the locals in the hood approached him, with Suspect revealing his troubles back home. Understandably, they first greeted his story with disbelief. Apparently, it wasn't until years later that they saw a French YouTuber's video covering Suspect's gruesome tale that they realized he was actually telling the truth the whole time, so they dug up the clip from their camera roll and posted it up publicly. Suspect wouldn't remain in France for long. From here, it would seem that Suspect and S. Wavy would make their way further afield to Kenya. Meanwhile, 2 others who were involved, Breeks and SY, would instead flee to Kenya's neighbour, Somalia. However, the 2 other people involved with the murder and an accomplice wouldn't be so lucky. Armed Response would unsuccessfully try and flee the country. He was apparently in the process of trying to secure false paperwork to fly to Egypt, but was stopped at the airport. AR was arrested on the 18th of August 2019, and he would appear in court the next day. He would be sentenced to life for murder on the 12th of March 2020, alongside Y Traps. In many ways, these young guys on either side of the knife have been failed by the system, and it could have been just as easily Suspect, SY, S-Wavy, or any of the members of active gang that killed culprit being on the receiving end of the knife. With another young person like culprit suffering from the same issues and rumoured violent behaviours that hurt others before he lost his life. There really are no winners here. Even Reeks and SY fleeing to Somalia to evade justice. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work out that life in the UK is likely a damn sight better than life on the run in Somalia, which is literally considered one of the most dangerous countries in Africa. These aren't rational choices being made by the young men we're discussing in this story, and one does have to wonder, what are the root societal causes that are driving these gang wars? Whether it's poverty, racial tension, or a lack of strong male models preaching.
I'm really trying to figure out how they got from UK to Kenya and Somalia. Like, I'm trying to figure out how they made that happen.
Positivity, I can't say definitively, but the sad fact is, no matter your circumstances, if you take a life and cause a mother to grieve, you should face consequences. And for Suspect and S-Wavy, well, for the time being, they had evaded justice. But the clock was ticking. And unlike previous murders, this time the police in Camden were determined to make sure everyone involved, or at least the ones they could catch, would face justice. However, little did they know that the out-of-control gang war on their streets would soon become a global phenomenon. While the never-ending gang wars was a hot-button issue in Camden for decades, many outside of the borough had been oblivious to the deadly conflict that had been going on minutes away from one of London's most famous tourist hotspots. After all, by 2019, gang violence all over London had spiralled out of control. Traces of violence continued to crop up across the borough, including a 25-inch blade that was found ditched next to a playground in Queen's Crescent. Stats from the Met...
25-inch blade? Bro, that's 2 foot and some. 2 foot and an inch. Bro, these things got swords.
Including a 25-inch blade that was found ditched next to a playground in Queen's Crescent. Stats from the Met Police would reveal Camden to be the second most dangerous borough in London, behind only Westminster, with the bitter war between the numerous estates that made up the 51st and 71st postcode alliances showing no sign of ending, even with prominent members on the run or in jail. As 2019 came to a close, Suspect and S-Wavy remained hiding out in Kenya as the Met Police's manhunt continued, and at this point, something interesting happened. Even before fleeing to Kenya, Suspect had been recording music and plotting out a career as a rapper, and he seemingly wasn't going to let being on the run from murder charges stop his plans. In fact, Suspect had stockpiled plenty of material for his music, and the fallout from Culprit's murder only seemed to kickstart his career. Around the end of 2019, Suspect would be seen on social media freestyling with active gang members, visibly armed with machetes. Ultra-violent lyrics all about violence and stabbings would be a taste of what was to come from Suspect when he begun taking music more seriously.
Another attempt, run out of breath, you run out of luck, run out of life, need to re-up, all my friends, they need to free up, when they see us, they don't think twice, try to get cheeky back in life.
Around a month after that freestyle clip had been circulating, on December the 16th, 2019, Suspect released his first official solo track, Way Too Charged. It dropped on the popular grime and drill YouTube channel Mixtape Madness, and came with a music video filmed in person before Suspect had gone on the run for the murder of Culprit. But what really stood out was the track's brutal lyrics, where Suspect bragged openly about the crimes that he and his active gang comrades had committed, casually rapping about jumping in stolen cars, looking for ops, and trying to stop their hearts, while accompanied by SY and AR. Lyrics eerily similar to the events that played out the night Culprit lost his life. He would boast about ramming specific ops with cars and saying it must have stung like nettles. And even in one disturbing lyric, he mentions greeting his ops mothers in the streets, saying, "She don't know I'ma kill her son." Way Too Charged.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro. This nigga be taking it too far, dog. He be taking it way too far, bro.
Greeting his ops mothers in the streets, saying, "She don't know I'ma kill her son." Way Too Charged was a raw introduction to Suspect as both a rapper and a gangster. This was only the beginning, and he would continue his momentum, appearing on songs and perpetuating the crimes that he had committed in the street.
Bro, can y'all imagine if Suspect lived to see like 40, 50, and he become like a godfather? You know how dangerous it's gonna be to have him as a godfather in a drill scene? Like, oh my goodness.
Streets, something that he would continue to build on throughout his time on the run. Soon after Way Too Charged dropped, Suspect would feature on a song alongside UK drill veterans Blanco and Biss from legendary South London crew the Harlem Spartans. That was a song titled Hood Up, and saw Suspect creatively describing the murders that he had been involved in, rapping that he minus one of his ops from 51st, and now he calls them 4, promising to stab anyone from the NW5 postcode, as well as dissing the Peckwater and Queen's Crescent estates, promising to kill his ops from these areas. And despite literally still being on the run for murder charges, he was surprisingly active on social media. In early 2020, he was still active on Twitter, retweeting quotes from his favorite US rappers,
Gonna run a nigga, my boy QRN.
like Lil Durk and Quando Rondo, and then on March the 4th, 2020, he would release his next solo track, Purge Style, with a menacing concept that bordered on horrorcore, this time likening his activities in the streets to the movie The Purge, where people are granted a night to satisfy their murderous instincts without legal consequences. Once again on the song, Suspect gleefully describes the horrendous acts he committed during his time as a gang member in Camden, including disrespectful lines referencing G-Squeeze's injuries after he was rammed and stabbed, and claiming that no one has retaliated since they killed C-Miz, even claiming openly to have stabbed over 10 of his ops, including C-Miz, and describing the incident in vivid detail, comparing himself to a barber, saying his blade cut through his dreadlocks. At this point, Suspect had been evading police for around half a year. Suspect would tweet soon, after Purge Style dropped, that it's ironic that cops suspect him of murder, given that his name is Suspect. He was seemingly suffering no consequences for either the crimes he committed or the music he released speaking on them. So he continued making demonic drill raps and building his profile in the drill scene. On March the 15th, 2020, active gang members dropped the posse cut No Hook, featuring Blitz, SY, Striker, and Suspect, with Suspect himself rapping concerning bars where he raps that stabbing ops is what he does for pleasure and that he's Olympic level when it comes to stabbing. He also drops juvenile bars comparing hunting ops to the schoolyard game Duck Duck Goose, suggesting the ones who get caught end up on stretchers. Even going on to drop a slick double entendre saying that he camps for ops and leaves them dead inside forensic tents. He would also reference the murder of 51st member Dotty, who was killed by Tottenham gang members from OFB from the Broadwater Farm estate, saying that since Dottie died, they've never retaliated or been to the Broadwater farm estate. The disses were extremely specific and personal, and this would continue in every song he released. At the beginning of April 2020, Suspect would drop the song Zero Life, a collaboration with fellow accomplice of the culprit murder SY, who himself had fled to Somalia. The track came with lyrics where he claimed that he was smoking CMIS and that it tastes so sweet. While the likes of Suspect and SY were continuing to disrespect their Camden rivals, thousands of miles away in Africa, back in Camden, street activity would continue. On the 27th of April 2020, there was a shooting in Queen's Crescent, right outside the community centre, close to where CMIS had been killed, an attack which left a man hospitalised. Interestingly, a month before this, Camden MP Keir Starmer had actually been elected as the leader of the Labour Party, Britain's top opposition party. So while the war in the streets raged on, the politicians would be looking for their photo opportunities. And a week after that shooting, at the community centre where Keir Starmer had promised again and again to put an end to the violence, he would appear once again, smiling and handing out food. And while the war in Camden raged on, one of its main instigators, Suspect, was happily hiding out in Kenya, building his notoriety through his music career and getting more and more brazen. He was living life like a real-life character from Grand Theft Auto. And with that in mind, perhaps unsurprisingly, he would take inspiration from violent video games when it came to promoting his music. On May the 24th, 2020, Suspect released the track Franklin, Trevor and Michael, likening himself, SY and S-Wavy to the murderous main protagonists from the 5th game in the infamous series of gangster video games Grand Theft Auto. But for now, he would thankfully be unable to commit any more murders, being restrained to simply rapping about crime. But even from Kenya, he would be eager to go back and forth with his ops, who continued to send verbal shots from Camden. On June the 7th, 2020, Action from Peckwater drops a freestyle dissing Active Gang and their dead members. Within a few days later, on June the 12th, 2020, Suspect uploads a freestyle with a mask on in a kitchen, directly responding to Action from Peckwater.
Miss got packed from throwing them fives up, Cop got packed from throwing them C's up, what a mess. Pull a cleaner, AG step, roll up, block creeper, what a mess, what a mess. Step through combo, then go quest. There's no point of going to peck when Broski's got that 40, peddling past like shot too naughty. Ay, so many ops on boomy bed, that threats I swear they bored you.
Interestingly, Suspect had seemingly gotten more comfortable showing more of himself online, posting another picture in the same kitchen, holding up 2 fingers, signalling how many people he'd killed. And at this point, he was still yet to face any consequences for these 2 murders he'd allegedly committed. And as the year went on, he would continue to lean into his new identity as a buzzing drill rapper. His next release was the track Test My Temper on June 22nd, 2020. Suspect would also claim to be the reason that his ops are hiding and that even their mothers are frightened, and ending the track saying that they've got plenty of their ops and have the police stressed because they can't find evidence on them. This was a bold statement, essentially taunting the cops who had yet to locate Suspect at this point. Test My Temper was also one of the rare occasions where the song came with a music video. However, because Suspect had fled the UK at this point, he would now have to rely on body doubles to play him in those videos. But anyway, the music video depicted Active Gang as a well-organised and large gang with a lot of members moving militant. And Suspect was by no means the only one trying to get his music career off the ground. The following month, on July 2020, Active Gang members released the song Straight Facts, which featured Broad Day, Too Smoky, Yevs, and ML. In the second and third verse, Yevs and Too Smoky appear to refer to C-Miz by his nickname, C-Murder, saying that they put red rum in a box, i.e. they killed him, and rapping that now he's dead, they're smoking murder and putting him in the air. Despite the ruthless lyrics, it was clear Active Gang members, beyond Suspect, were beginning to develop as rappers and make a name for themselves in drill music. However, as is often the case, unfortunately a lot of these guys are so deep in the streets, even when it becomes clear that they have a talent for music, it can be hard to leave dangerous habits in the past. And once it was a full year on from the murder of Culprit, the streets of Camden would become extremely deadly, and drill music would provide the soundtrack for yet another violent summer. By the summer of 2020, the many gang conflicts that had plagued the streets of Camden and beyond were as heated as ever, and over time, new alliances were being forged in the streets and in music. This would soon see the violence broadening beyond Camden's borders, with new gangs and sets being brought into the conflict. 2 warring gangs that had a historical hatred for each other are SSK, based in the South Kilburn estate in Brent, northwest London, a borough bordering Camden, and HRB, or the Harrow Road Boys, named after Harrow Road, a long stretch of road based in the historic city of Westminster that borders both Camden and Brent. But the gang itself is primarily based around the Mozart estate, which sits in the W9 postcode. This is the estate famously repped by one of the biggest rappers coming out of West London, Fredo. HRB and SSK have historically maintained beef with each other over the span of 3 decades. There's enough history between these 2 crews to make an entire video, and maybe one day I will. But for now, all you need to know is that these are yet 2 more London neighbourhoods in a perpetual war. And in the summer of 2020, that war would be driven into overdrive when a HRB affiliate by the name of Billy the Kid.
Oh, Fredo is tough. Like, Fredo really tough. Lil Dot's tough too.
Was shot in the back twice on July the 16th, 2020, losing his life allegedly as a result of a shootout initiated by his own side. Following this incident, the tension between these two warring gangs went to another level, and behind the scenes, it was rumoured that members of HRB had become friendly with members of Active Gang, with it being suggested that Active Gang may have even had close friendships with Billy, the HRB member who lost his life in that shootout. With that in mind, on the 1-year anniversary of the murder of Culprit, yet another brutal slaying would occur on the streets of London, this time concerning an affiliate of South Kilburn. According to reports, on August the 12th at 12:20 AM, a silver Jaguar XF estate circled the block at Hansel Road, eventually spotting SSK affiliate Gucci, real name Jeffrey Wegby, outside of his house. 2 gunmen jumped out of the vehicle and fired 10 shots. He managed to make it inside, but he'd been shot 4 times in the chest with 2 different guns. Police responded to reports of a shooting at Hansel Road, and when they arrived, they found Gucci in his home with gunshot wounds to the chest, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. Alleged affiliates of the South Kilburn street gang will be seen posting next to his grave after the funeral. Gucci was mourned by his community and friends, who posted it to social media following the shooting. There also appeared to be a connection between Gucci and another famous drill rapper, Digga D, who also has a bitter grudge against Fredo from HRB, with Digga posting Gucci rapping up on his Snap story and later even shouting him out in the ruthless HRB diss track Blue Woo 2, which also included numerous lines going at Active Gang and Broad Day Assassin specifically. A prominent member of HRB by the name of Lil Dots would release a collaboration track with Broad Day from Active Gang just a month after the murder, a disrespectful diss song called Roll Up. Roll Up had a bold chorus where Dots rapped that they put people on the news, rapping that Harrow Road and Active Gang kill and stab their ops together, and that they ride with 2 guns, shoot, and drive back to the Mozart estate to smoke Gooch, with the line about rolling with 2 guns being particularly brazen considering the fact that the forensics in the Gucci murder proved that 2 different guns were used to kill him. The following month, on November the 1st, 2020, he drops the song No Hook, not to be confused with the Active Gang track No Hook from March 2020. This new song was a collaboration between Broad Day and Suspect, along with Absav, Workrate, and 60, members from another collective known as 156. Later in the song, Suspect would grab the mic and rap a disturbing verse, saying that he can't ask Culprit how the chest shot that he gave him feels, and reminiscing on the murder he committed, rapping that he remembers that day and it gives him chills and makes him laugh when he smokes and thinks about it. Even going on to say that he would do it all again because he loves that feeling. Talking about the dirt you did to your ops is one thing, but the way that Suspect elaborates on the pleasure that murder gives him is truly twisted. Suspect goes on to drop a highly incriminating lyric, rapping that it was at night when Culprit got killed and that the cops still want the suspect for that, essentially taunting the Camden police, who at this point, over a year after the murder, had still been unable to capture him. Suspect goes on to reference the other murder he claims responsibility for, insulting his ops and saying that they can't get C Miz or C Murder back and that he's smoking on him. Broad Day's first upload of No Hook would clock in 100,000 views in a day, but the original upload would eventually be taken down by the police. Perhaps unsurprisingly, just days after No Hook released, rumours would circulate suggesting that Broad Day had been arrested in connection to the case. However, there was never any public confirmation that an arrest had been made in connection with the murder of Gucci, and during this time, images would circulate seemingly showing Lil Dots and Broad Day Assassin in jail together, but it's unclear when these pictures were taken or exactly what charges they were facing at this time. But while Broad Day was behind bars, even from Kenya, Suspect would begin to reference the murder of Gucci mockingly in his songs, like his appearance on the track Still Active with CB, where Suspect raps that he's smoking on Gucci, an insult that he would repeat again on the 2022 track A-Style. And Suspect wasn't the only one, as S-Wavy also name-dropped Gucci later that year on a leaked track called Savages. However, despite the public disrespect and seemingly open discussion of Gucci's murder on songs, it would seem ultimately that there was no evidence connecting Broad Day to the murder of Gucci, and he could very well be completely innocent and just inferring a connection to the crime to further his rap career. And the following year, in August 2021, Broad Day would seemingly be fresh out of jail, beating whatever charges he was facing, and appearing in a celebratory social media post on Suspect's Snapchat story, where Suspect told Broad Day Assassin to do up his laces, as well as appearing on an Instagram Live with fellow Active Gang members T-Scam and Suspect celebrating his release. Eventually, we would see Broad Day, T-Scam, and Suspect all attempting to join together on a 3-way Instagram Live, with Suspect's internet struggling, prompting comments saying he's got that Kenyan connection. This would be followed by social media footage appearing to show Broad Day in the Jewelers treating himself to a welcome home gift, an iced out AP watch. And Broad Day would go on to release numerous songs. And by February 2022, the BBC News reported that despite the offer of £20,000 for any information on the case, Gucci's murder remained unsolved and the killers were still on the streets. Perhaps we'll never know who was truly responsible for this brazen assassination, but what is clear is that Active Gang and its members were eager to use Gucci's murder remained unsolved, that despite the offer of £20,000 for any information on...
Bro, how much is £20,000, bro? Hold on. $25,000. Them niggas got pulled, boy.
The case, Gucci's
They
murder
got
remained
pulled.
unsolved and the killers were still on the streets. Perhaps we'll never know who was truly responsible for
$25,000 and niggas not trying to give no information up. That's poor.
this brazen assassination. But what is clear is that Active Gang and its members were eager to use their music to paint a picture of themselves as being responsible for all the deadly acts going on around them. And unfortunately, after a violent summer in 2020, with the police once again stumped and unable to stop the street revenge from playing out, soon Active Gang's rival would make a move in an effort to avenge the loss of culprit the year before. As is often the case with these years-long gang conflicts, certain dates become associated with important events and individuals in the gang. On the one-year anniversary of Culprit's death, the murder of Gucci had taken place, with lyrics and rumours suggesting that Active Gang members may have played a role in, or at the very least, celebrated the killing. However, just a month later, it would be Culprit's birthday. On September the 14th, just one day before Culprit's birthday, a young man known as Dirts, real name Kamal Noor, had been walking down a North London street, where he was approached by two men who rode up on a bicycle. A confrontation took place, and Dirts was chased, with a witness describing a fight lasting less than a minute, which ended with Dirts being stabbed around 8 PM on Goodinge Close, just off North Road in Archway. When paramedics arrived, Dirts was pronounced dead at the scene, and once again, another forensic tent was put up in a North.
I mean, does Cobra get back count? They didn't kill an AGP member. In my opinion, if my mans die and I know a group did it, I gotta kill somebody from that group. So if it's not somebody from that group, it don't count to me. So, I mean, that's just my opinion, though.
London Street. Dirts himself was allegedly affiliated with a street crew based around the nearby Miranda estate in Archway, where this murder happened, known as the A-Team, which is associated with Active...
Because it's not even about killing somebody per se. It's about whoever did it feeling the same pain I felt. That's really what it's about.
Gang and their ongoing feud with the estates that make up the 51st Postcode Alliance. After the murder, the two suspects fled the scene on the same pedal bike, and the police would release images of the suspects publicly in the hopes that somebody might be able to offer up information on what had happened. This would actually wind up being one of the rare occasions that the police were actually able to identify those responsible, with 51st affiliates Lebs, real name Michael Lebby, and Wanda, real name Melvis Mariano, as well as a 17-year-old girl who allegedly burned their clothes, being arrested in connection to the murder of the following month. Lebs would be photographed on the wing in jail, and while they seemingly pled not guilty, they're still awaiting for a scheduled trial. And once again, it's important to remember that everybody is innocent until proven guilty, and until a full trial has taken place, we cannot say definitively who was involved in this incident. Interestingly, however, despite the trial having not taken place, numerous individuals associated with the estates from 51st have made comments taking responsibility for the crime. A year after Culprit's murder, Gutter from Peckwater, or One Side as his crew would eventually call themselves, would make a lengthy post on social media referencing the death of Dirts, with a long diatribe seemingly aimed at suspect, saying that you're rattled, thousands of miles away in Kenya, and your life is finished. Going on to diss Dirts, saying that he was dead on Culprit's birthday, and that he, Dirts, died behind Suspect's cause, and saying that was his man who hung around his members, and that Suspect can't control the score in the gang war all the way in Africa. Even going on to accuse Suspect of denying
he was popping and trying to get this nigga to pull back up to this. He was really popping it.
Dirts was affiliated with him out of embarrassment and accusing him of trying to sweep Active Gang's losses under the rug. Even going as far as to say Suspect flew to Africa after Culprit's murder and became addicted to social media clout, calling him Vlad TV. Even ending by saying that he reps a block that he wasn't even ever from. Clearly the killing of Dirts on Culprit's birthday was an emotional topic for both sides. A couple of years after the murder, on March the 20th, 2022, Gutter from Peckwater drops the song Straight Facts, with lyrics
I ain't gonna lie, Nick, you ain't seen nothing. Compared to what's been going on, oh, you ain't seen nothing.
that said outright that they felt Dirts' murder was direct revenge for culprits. He would rap that his ops talk about culprit and that he can talk about getbacks that were sent by One Side, as well as claiming that they got revenge and killed an op at the same location where Active Gang members filmed their music video for an earlier song with the same title, Straight Facts, with the location Dirts was killed being Goodinge Close, only 2 minutes walk from Corporation Street, with the sign visibly being seen in the background of the original version of Straight Facts. As far as the estates from 51st saw it, they had got back for culprit and avenged their friend who had been so brutally killed by suspect.
That's what I'm saying. It don't make no sense. You can't say avenged when he didn't kill nobody from the same gang that killed his mans. That's not avenging nothing. You just killed somebody for no reason. Like, what did he do to you? What did that dude And what did anyone that was affiliated with him do to you? It doesn't make any sense. Like,
and his active gang conspirators. Regardless of these supposed get-back, from here, Suspect would continue to work on his music and commentate on the gang war from a distance. And through to the end of 2020 and into 2021, he would go on an untouchable run as a rapper, rapidly building a fan base as the mystique around this on-the-run, double-murdering rapper who cannot be caught continued to pick up steam. On October the 4th, 2020, Suspect and T-Scam, along with the help of prolific UK drill video creator Pac-Man TV, teamed up to release the video for their breakout track, The Hotspot. It came with a menacing music video where Suspect, played by a body double, rapped into a mic surrounded by active gang goons. This time, they were all adorning red bandanas, seemingly now identifying themselves as Bloods. Despite there not seemingly being a long heritage of affiliation with a Blood gang, perhaps this was a stylistic choice.
Yeah, I'm in and after the dog because I gotta go to the gym. I will be live longer, but still got stuff to do, man. Plus, I was live yesterday. I'm still kind of tired. So.
Made in order to have a clear distinction between their rivals from...
But I mean, see, the thing is, I will go live when I come back in the house, but y'all probably not going to be awake. Because it's probably going to be like, I think like 1 or 2 in the morning for y'all. If I was to go live at like 8 or 9 here. So it'll be no point in me going live when I come back in the house, because y'all not going to be able to watch it.
From 51st estates, like Cumbo, that had traditionally worn blue and identified as Crip. Regardless, now active gang members were making Blood gang iconography a central part of their aesthetic, as well as beginning to use the traditional LA Blood chant, Sue Woo, as an ad-lib on songs. But outside from the blooded out music video, the song The Hotspot was loaded with...
Drill Talk, you be awake at 1, 2 in the morning. That's crazy, because, I mean, I'd be awake here, but... For y'all, that's like 6, 7. But like, if I go live, like, what am I gonna do at that time? Cause like, after this, I'm gonna need a little break from reactions. I'm a little burnt out, so that's why like I'm gonna take some time. Like, now if y'all want to do like play the game or something, we can go into Discord and do that. But going live on YouTube for that, I probably wouldn't do that for YouTube.
Derogatory lines aimed straight at active gang's rivals. Suspect would claim to be smoking 3 deceased ops, Culprit, C-Miz, and Gucci, and he would paint a vivid picture of attacking his ops with any weapons he could find.
I go to sleep like the same time. I think last time I went to sleep at like 4.
Rapping that his crew do shootings, stabbings, and even resort to swinging cans full of tuna in a sock if they need to produce a makeshift weapon whilst fighting ops in jail. And describing running his ops down until they're out of breath and blood, putting them in the mud, and thinking about who he killed when he's smoking. The Hotspot...
Bro, I'm telling you, that Hotspot song was crazy.
Was yet another brutal and offensive diss track. But once again, Suspect and T-Scam proved that they were able to bring this shocking and violent content to life in an original way that captivated UK drill fans. And as a result, the track passed 1 million views in less than 2 months, marking the first time rappers from Active Gang had hit such a substantial milestone. Active Gang members even received a commemorative plaque for their achievement, and in yet another grim display of disrespect to their rivals, Active Gang members would take this plaque to various locations where their ops had been killed and took photos, including the location of Culprit's murder, the Peckwater estate, the front door of the apartment where Gucci was assassinated, and the street where C-Miz was stabbed.
Bro, they be fucking maxing it, dog. Like, they just walking around with this shit, and ain't nobody like, come on, bro. Ain't no way, bro.
Stabbed to death. Naturally, with this sort of brazen and offensive activity going on, it didn't take long for the authorities to catch wind, and the official upload of the Hotspot music video was eventually taken down, most likely as part of the Metropolitan Police's shady campaign titled Operation Domain, a monitoring operation intending to remove music from YouTube which they claim incites violence, perpetuates and fuels the gang wars in London.
I'm not gonna lie. If y'all can't catch them, y'all shouldn't take the songs down. Because at this point, y'all don't care about catching them. They was talking about earlier, yeah, we need the citizens to snitch because y'all need to find the killers. Bro, people is literally saying they in Kenya. What's taking so, like...
After the Hotspot music video dropped, Suspect's name was buzzing on social media. On November the 8th, 2020, Suspect would even go live on Instagram holding a talent show for his fans.
What's up, bro?
What's up, bro? You good?
Yeah. Chilling.
Chilling, man. You come for the talent show, yeah? Yeah, man. Go on.
I can't even talk on the I've done, but I keep on swinging the Sammy. Poke man's back with a left and a right. It's a double whammy.
Hold on, this nigga. Hold on, who this? He about to get inducted into the gang life. Hold on.
Poke man's back with a left and a right. It's a double whammy. Take a few perks, smoke a little trees, gonna have the bean. Then I still get calls from Mavis, shipping up lab, looking like Quavers. Never been booked on a handout. Always been a type to send them packs out, and I with them max out. Fill me up, cold boy, no. Hey, bro, I've been listening to your music for a minute now, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, man, I rate that, man. Respect that, man.
Soon, the British fans would be joining and entertaining Suspect by rapping that they're smoking on people that he literally killed.
Yeah, I've got some bars still. Combo skirt to the fifth, but there's no one in fifth. Skirt that combo, smoking gelato, smoking five,
At one point, Suspect begins telling the fans and police that he's a good guy and a role model.
I'm too kind, innit? I'm a good guy, fam. The Drakes need to know this as well. Sus is a good guy. Good man. Role model, you can say.
And at one point, he even gets on with a younger member from the Mozart estate associated with the Harrow Road Boys, with that group and Active Gang being rumoured to have had something to do with the murder of Gucci from South Kilburn, with Suspect even joking, telling him that he should switch gangs to Active Gang, even offering him a zombie knife and a parcel of dope to get him started, and going on to tell him he needs to graduate from flick knives to zombie knives and then guns.
Where are you from?
Zart, man.
Yeah, South Philly, I that.
Trust me, fam.
Trust me, man. I'm a civilian, innit? But I heard it's right now. You really involved, though?
Yeah.
This nigga a fucking troll, bro. Nigga said I'm a civilian. Oh, I'm tired of niggas.
Trust me, man. I'm a civilian, innit? But I heard it's right now. You really involved, though?
Yeah, some man, yeah.
You really in the streets, though? I'm gonna ask my little Dutch right now, man. What's your name?
Yeah, man.
What's your name?
JB, fam.
JB, yeah?
Yeah.
Come on, you might as well come AG, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I got a Zeki and a G-pack for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's funny how, like, they're putting captions on the screen and they're not saying any English. Like, the last two responses to what Suspect said was not English in at all.
G, man.
Like,
yeah, man. I got a Zeki and a G-pack for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no.
You gonna come, yeah?
Yeah.
Instead of doing the Flicky Rambo thing, man, I'm just gonna quickly, boom, promote you to a straight ZK, you get me?
And there must have been a Met Police detective monitoring these lives and looking for any clues as to Suspect's location. But regardless, for now the authorities in London would still be clueless as to where Suspect was hiding, and he would continue living and laughing it up in Africa and recording offensive music. Next up, on November the 19th, 2020, Suspect released the song Dugout, once again using a body double donning a red bandana to appear as if he was still rolling with the gang in London. And once again, the official upload would eventually wind up being removed from YouTube at the request of London's Metropolitan Police. As mentioned before, Dugout is a disturbing track where Suspect goes into gritty detail about the dangerous gang lifestyle that he's lived since being a child, opening the hook with a dark but thought-provoking lyric where he reflects on getting into a deadly gang beef with former friends that he went to school and played with. This particular bar really stuck me because it just goes to show the sad state of this young man's life where he found himself quite literally trying to kill his schoolyard friends. Suspect was clearly no saint in the streets, and his mentality clearly contributed to him doing terrible things to people from his community. However, the self-awareness he displayed in some of these songs are remarkably rare for a UK drill rapper. However, don't get it twisted, this golden moment of self-reflection is quickly contrasted with belligerent and violent disses towards his ops, dead and alive, as he describes a string of attacks putting his ops on ropes, as well as saying he's smoking on his two victims from the rival gang, C-Miz and Culprit. And after mocking those two people he killed, he goes on to describe himself as the Grim Reaper of Agar Grove, and his active gang partners as leaving roads taped off as crime scenes and taking their ops' souls from them. The music video also featured sound effects and animations straight out of the game Call of Duty, further trivializing the real-life violence that he's recounting. These are dark, twisted lyrics, but you have to admit, at the very least, Suspect does have a talent for metaphors, which would be respectable if he wasn't bragging about real-life, gruesome murders. Off the back of this line, Suspect then goes on to deliver another impressive lyrical arrangement, proceeding to use the rest of his verse describing things in his life that relate to numbers, counting from 1 to 10. One more murder and he's got a UAV, Sus rolls with 2 zombie knives along with S-Wavy and SY, making it 3 savages in an SUV. He asks his fellow driller to pass him the 4.4 pistol. He says he's now in the 5 or 51st territory with 6 bullets in his gun. He says he rides with members from the 7 or his own gang 71st. He shouts out Blitz, calling him a legend with the Trey 8 or 3.8 pistol. He warns his ops not to get hit with a bullet from the 9mm pistol, and ending the verse by bragging that a 10-person jury couldn't unanimously agree to convict him, so he walked free.
Bro, I'm telling you, that nigga got some talent, but boy, is he evil. Boy, is he evil.
Once again, Suspect used this song to prove to the world that he's not your average drill rapper. His lyrical ability was a cut above the usual standard for drill rap, and combining that with the sad fact that Suspect's lyrics about committing violent acts were 100% true, and the fact that he was literally on the run for murder while these songs were being released, made Suspect's music a hot topic amongst UK drill fans. In December 2020, Suspect would post a video saying that he's smoking C-Miz on social media.
Oh, you didn't know? Calvin comes in as well. C-Miz.
That is also.
And previewing an upcoming Active Gang freestyle. That teaser would be followed by a major release. On December the 4th, 2020, Suspect and T-Scam dropped their track Turn Up with another music video made by Pac-Man TV and uploaded onto prominent UK rap YouTube channel GRM Daily. Clearly, music was beginning to pay better than the streets, as the music video would be wall-to-wall with Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis, and music video baddies that fit in well with the party vibe of the beat and lyrics. It also featured another actor donning a blood bandana and playing Suspect alongside a masked T-Scam. It also included a lot of specific references to the Camden gang wars. In one line, Suspect references an incident where they shot a rival gang Peckwater, rapping that when they started shooting, people were dropping their drinks and that they had 20 ops screaming, "Where's the burner?" This was a reference to a social media video that had circulated showing gang members from 51st reacting to a shooting and yelling in the street to get the guns. As well as saying that he misses his fallen members AK and S45 and that because of this loss, he won't stop beefing until all of his ops are dead. In the next verse, T-Scam would openly reference the murder of Culprit once more and use more sound effects from Call of Duty in the background. Once again, the official upload of this song was taken down by the police. But this didn't discourage Suspect, and Turn Up would be followed on the 24th of December 2020 by his previously teased appearance alongside Too Smoky from Active Gang on the famous rap freestyle platform Plugged In with Fumes the Engineer. This track featured some of the most savage lyrics Suspect had rapped to date, opening his verse with the jaw-dropping bar asking the listener if they've ever heard someone's last words, and rapping that when his ops are dying, trying to say those last words, he tells them, "Shush you nerd, go gulag and ride your bird," a British phrase meaning to serve your sentence in prison, and another reference to the video game Call of Duty Warzone, referring to the gulag, the place in the game where eliminated players go after they die to compete in a one-on-one fight for the chance to respawn back into the main game. When you know the deadly reality behind some of these lyrics, it's really crazy hearing somebody trivialize a real murder like this. But from here, he goes on to drop shocking but skillfully phrased lyrics that paint a vivid picture of his violent life as a driller, rapping that he opens his ops' chests like there's treasure inside, and ending his verse with another interesting lyrical technique where he describes his routine hunting for ops using each letter of the alphabet. He says he's trying to get from A to B, doing laps in the C, which is his op block combo. His gear is in D, so his car is in drive while he's looking for his ops, until his tank of petrol or gas is on E, or empty. He doesn't give an F. He says he will kill any G from a rival gang. He shouts out Hitman or H from Active Gang and says that he stabs ops like I or himself, basically saying that when it comes to stabbings, he can only compare to himself as no one is as active as him. He says that he got blood on his Jordans or J's the night he caught a body, and then fellow Active Gang rapper Too Smoky would continue this technique in his own verse, this time starting from A and going all the way to T, and then when Suspect jumps in with another verse, he goes from K all the way to Z, using most of these letters to openly describe him and his gang committing murders, specifically saying in 2019 they got 2 W's and that someone else got X'd in 2020, seemingly more references to the murders of C-Miz, Culprit and Gucci. When Too Smoky jumped back on the mic, he continues the disrespect, ending his verse with a particularly flippant line saying that he was in jail when somebody died and that when he heard the news, he laughed until he nearly cried. Once again, to the surprise of nobody except perhaps Suspect, this freestyle would be removed from YouTube by the Met Police. On January the 7th, 2021, Suspect would take his frustrations to social media, complaining that him and his crew had spent time and money on music videos and accusing the police of targeting Active Gang and taking down their videos for no apparent reason. Clearly lacking the self-awareness to realise it's obviously because he's wanted for murder, but he goes on to say that the police haven't even contacted anyone.
This documentary is like 7 hours for real. But it feels like I'm watching a movie right now, but like, I don't know. I don't know.
Or explained anything, and pointing out the fact that the versions of the song that are up were censored, and saying that Active Gang are just a music group who are trying to make it out of the hood and that the police want to stop that, ending the message saying F the police and more music would come. On January the 20th, 2021, in the form of the Active Gang posse cut Who's Bad, featuring S-Wavy, Yevs, Too Smoky, and Suspect.
Like, now you can see that he's starting to grow from just a gang member and a killer to like someone who's older trying to get business, starting to understand business, understand making money. So now he's trying to navigate that. I'm getting tired of all this work I'm putting in getting took down. I'm trying to make some bread while y'all stop my motion. But you forgetting all that stuff you done done, all the shit you done said. You can't just forget that part. That part just don't go away.
Himself. It came with another Blood Gang themed music video filmed around Agar Grove with members rapping kitted out in designer drip. In Suspect's verse, he claimed that somebody in his gang has 2 bodies and that if he kills another one, it'll render him a serial killer. This is another smart lyric as he uses the double meaning of the word cereal, referencing the breakfast cereal Special K, saying that his third killing or K will be special because it will make him a serial.
No, it's 2 hours and 22 minutes. I thought it was 3, but it's only 2:20. So.
Serial killer. And if you watch my King Von video, you'll know that in order to be a serial killer, you need
that shit's
to kill 3 or more people in different locations with more than a month between them. Of course, this song didn't stay up for long on YouTube either, and neither did Suspect's next song, the collab track Block Heroes with Nino Uptown, released on February the 14th, which once again was taken down from YouTube by the authorities. But the police's attempts to suppress Suspect's voice were futile. In fact, they may have even accidentally helped build the legacy of this murdering rapper who could not be stopped. Suspect would continue to release music, arguably making steps to make his songs a touch more commercially friendly. On March the 28th, 2021, Suspect would drop his new single Moonwalk, but this Michael Jackson themed song was far from the Jackson 5. This song was back-to-back with more violent and disrespectful lyrics. However, on this track, he didn't diss any victims by name, and as a result, the original upload of the song remained public on YouTube. The song was
the one he said, the uncut one, the one that's on Patreon, is 4 hours.
Michael Jackson inspired by in more ways than just its name. Suspect would compare his revolver's chamber spinning and its recoil kicking to Michael's classic dance moves. He would reference Michael Jackson's lyrics on Can't Stop Till You Get Enough in reference to his own habit of making his enemies' hearts stop with a knife, even using MJ song titles to recreate a conversation he had with detectives, and the early MJ album title Off the Wall to refer to how he beats his enemies. Moonwalk was a resounding success for Suspect, running up over...
But you watched that whole 4-hour thing? You're crazy. You are crazy. I'm gonna call from Sparks Glen. I don't even know how to say this word. Bro, I don't know, a lot of these scammers be going too crazy. Taking out over the Chinks thing? Taking out over the Chinks thing is crazy.
Over 200,000 views in its first few days, 500,000 views in less than a month after its upload, and more importantly...
Both of y'all are crazy. How did y'all sit there for 4 hours watching it die?
Being one of the few professional-grade songs that he created while on the run not to have been taken down by YouTube. Suspect was on a roll and developing his rap skills to a whole new level. But let's remember, this is nothing to glamorize. Despite his emerging skill as a wordsmith, realistically, the question has always lingered. Would Suspect have this much success had he not killed 2 people before starting his rap career? Drill music over the years has cultivated an interesting position in the overlap between gangster rap and non-fiction true crime, and Suspect was seemingly able to capitalize on this culture that was celebrating murder like no one else from the UK ever had. But little did he know, the clock would be ticking, and the authorities were doing more than just taking his songs down. They were keeping a close eye on his activities and social media, building up a picture of exactly what he was doing. But before they could swoop in and deliver justice, the war going on back in Camden would continue to rage on. While Suspect was becoming a famous drill rapper thousands of miles away from the gang war that he played a deadly role in, the members left behind in Camden would still be dealing with the day-to-day horrors of an all-out gang war. On December the 22nd, 2020, a video from Drills from 51st being chased by active gang members into a police station is posted on social media. Drills would post on
Yeah, you're bored, because why you say... Oh, yeah.
Snapchat defending his actions to save face, saying that at the time he was signing on at probation at the police station when he was ambushed, claiming that he grabbed a chair to throw it at them when the attackers pulled out knives, at which point he understandably blocked the door to defend himself from a stabbing, suggesting that anyone in his shoes would have hid inside too. However, as this clip circulated, Suspect himself would pipe up, saying that his gang only get their phones out and film when they can't touch their ops, and suggesting that Drills was lying about throwing a chair because in the police station they're apparently all bolted to the floor. Drills would also post a clip that appeared to show him spinning blocks in 71st that very night looking for retaliation. And he would go on to post saying that he went to all of their blocks and now everyone is silent. In the grand scheme of things, this was a minor exchange, but clearly both sides of this war were serious about catching up with the other side. It would be the knife-wielding gang members in Camden that were the real threat, and on May the 25th, 2021, the streets of Camden would be disturbed once again by these blade-carrying antagonists. At around 6:21 PM, police were called to Islip Street following reports of an altercation where somebody was being chased by a group of men. By the time they arrived, the chase had progressed onto Kentish Town Road. According to active gang members, this incident was a 20 versus 1 fight where AG member Yevs managed to get away alive after allegedly stabbing someone. Apparently this was the result of a devious plot by Yevs, who went to the op block during a music video shoot all by himself while armed with a knife and wearing a high-vis jacket to blend in. He was apparently recorded from a nearby high-rise running from the group in the bright yellow jacket. The news would report that 2 men were found in possession of knives and arrested.
Picture of drills. Didn't we do this already? I think we did this already, but hold on, let me just make sure. Ain't nothing crazy up here. Look, ain't nothing crazy up here. Bro, he like 1v20 and you just like, he's different, bro. Like that's what we're trying to say. Like, people be trying to say, ain't nothing really up here. But people be trying to say, yeah, in certain situations, bro, it's just nothing you could do. Like, you just gotta fold, you just gotta give in. Like, if you get your... No. If you really stand 10 toes, it really can get like that. That's why I'll be so tired of hearing people say that. You know, Google be maxing it. You got... Bro, ain't none of these pictures even like pictures, though. Like, look. There's nothing up here.
On suspicion of a fray. Although one man was taken to hospital because he felt unwell, the police did not report any real injuries. Soon after the incident, he was picked up by police, arrested on suspicion of GBH, and Yevs would ultimately plead guilty to lesser charges of a fray and possession of a knife in public, being sentenced to 22 months in prison, along with 2 other rival gang members that were involved in the armed chase. Clearly, Yevs was a fearless knife man in the streets, with suspect later rapping the rather incriminating lyric saying that if he told you who Yevs had stabbed, it would be a very long list. On June the 8th, 2021, a video of T-Scam dancing with 2 machetes went viral, reportedly taken shortly before his arrest on gun possession charges, likely referring to a November the 20th, 2020 arrest where T-Scam was charged with possession of a firearm after a loaded revolver was found in a park in Camden. On June the 22nd, 2021, T-Scam posted that he was fresh out of jail after getting 4 not guilty verdicts. And then on June the 30th, 2021, T-Scam triumphantly jumped on Instagram Live to show off his new custom active gang balaclavas that the group were planning to release. This was a live where he was seemingly in the trap with fellow active gang members Hitman and A-Kid, who themselves are in disbelief that T-Scam is actually on live in their hideout, with Scam joking that he's actually going to put their faces on the live.
You man need, Scopes, you need to get some active gang merchandise, mate. Anything goes merchandise. You man need to get some, go get your anything goes merchandise. This valley's cold. See the hat? Well, everything coming soon, you're gonna be able to buy these, you can buy these already, and these. Hey, you lot wanna see Hitman? I'll show you him. And A-Kid, you lot wanna see A-Kid, man, they wanna see you. I'm going to take this off.
During this time, T-Scam wasn't the only one celebrating his freedom. Just over a month later, in August, Broad Day Assassin gets out of jail too, and they all go on live together with T-Scam and Bugsy. T-Scam would go on to say that he recently did another freestyle on live where he incriminated himself, and if it gets leaked, he's going to report it.
Yeah, give them a freestyle.
They're gonna get something real soon. Soon, fam. Real soon, cuz. Yeah. These scums are funny.
All jokes aside though, man, if that live gets leaked, bro, man, we have to report it to the max.
Soon after this, Bugsy starts showing off and is about to say which person each nugget is when T-Scam realizes this is probably a bad idea, eventually saying whatever they're smoking comes from Cumbo.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't even want to talk hot, but you get it. It's that time.
He don't even want to talk hot. But
it's that time. It's that time.
It's that time. Who's in there though? Bugsy, who's in there?
There's this one here, yeah. You know who that one is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one
That
is.
one.
I think that one starts with a ha.
You get me? And then this one, that's like three of them. That's a combo. This one, three.
Yeah, that one.
Combo.
3 in 1.
That one's a combo.
That's me. But yeah, man. In a combo there. I ain't even got a grinder right now.
With more members of each gang back on the streets, the back and forth disrespect on social media persisted through 2021, and it's no surprise that things will be dangerous out on the gang-affiliated blocks of Camden. And the next incident would be characterized by the use of firearms rather than blades. On the 14th of August, 51st members are having a block party barbecue at Clarence Gardens in Cumbo and decide to invite their ops on Snapchat, with Wanda posting a picture of the party on Snap saying they're outside and the ops are invited, with Broad Day reposting the invite saying thanks for the invite, and indeed, it would appear that their ops turned up within hours. As the following day, the Evening Standard News reported that a group of men arrived to the party shooting a firearm indiscriminately into the crowd. They hit 3 women, one of whom was 73 and another just 17, plus a 28-year-old man. This shooting caused national outrage, and news reports would soon
So they hit none but civs. That's crazy.
discuss the sharp rise in violent crime in London.
We do now seem to hear about people being shot dead, guns being fired in parts of North London, in parts of Manchester. You know, there's an awful, it feels like there's an awful lot more gun incidents than there were.
4 arrests would be made 5 days later, and 3 days after that, a 5th arrest would be made in connection with that shooting. Just 1 day after that shooting, T-Scam drops the song Freestyle, the most viewed video of his whole career, and possibly my favourite track any active gang member has ever released. The song is a gunslinger's anthem, with an infectious hook where T-Scam brags that he was facing 15 years for firearms charges, but his lawyer, or barrister as we say in the UK, did magic like popular British illusionist Dynamo and made those charges disappear, as well as dropping one of the most brutal but funny bars that I've seen in this entire beef, saying in reference to one of his—
Wait, no way they sent the invite out and ran. Oh, niggas is scary. That's wicked. So, but that's why, like, I don't like how sometimes they don't do their homework. Like, if you pull up to the scene, you're supposed to be surgical. You're not supposed to be just out there reckless. You're supposed to know who you're shooting at. They just shot into the crowd, assuming it was a whole lot of gang members there. Like, no.
His dead ops likely culprit. I heard he wanted to rap, now he's dead, he can spit bars with Biggie and Tupac. This was an extremely brazen song to release, quite literally after a mass shooting on your ops block party. But the song was a certified hit, and in my opinion it cemented T-Scam's place alongside Suspect as a top-level rapper coming out of the UK drill scene. And T-Scam would go on to reference this shooting in other songs, like his appearance on the season finale of Plugged In with Fumes the Engineer, releasing on Christmas Day 2021, where he rapped that the unknown shooters went insane when his ops sent them an invite, a reference to the earlier Snapchat post. Clearly active gang members were claiming responsibility for this incident. On October the 6th, 2021, Broad Day Assassin, who had seemingly been let out of jail just a day before, was shooting a new music video in Camden, when shooters pulled up shooting, with the alleged targets of the shooting actually firing back.
Word was getting around on social media yesterday that a music video shoot had been shot up, and it was none other than active gangs.
The news would report that immediately after the shooting, an armed police response unit responded to the property where the music video shoot was going on, with footage later circulating showing armed officers conducting a gunpoint raid at the filming location. However, not discouraged by the pressure of the ops or the cops, Broad Day proceeded to release his new song Honorably just 5 days later. And while Broad Day had previously had success on his collaborative tracks with Lil Dots from HRB, this was his debut solo track and cemented him as the next big rapper to watch from Active Gang after Suspect and T-Scam. However, the music video had been made amid a backdrop of violence and spells in and out of prison. Clearly the authorities were watching Active Gang very closely, and soon Suspect would end up having a breakthrough, landing a major guest spot on a song that would score him his first entry on the official UK singles chart. However, unfortunately for Suspect, amid his rising fame, with thousands of eyes watching—
Bro, how many niggas is on that? Bro, what Plugged In is this? Suspect, PR Sad, No Road, RC, like, bro, what? What am I looking at? Why are we not reacting to this? What's going on?
UK singles chart. However, unfortunately for Suspect, amid his rising fame, with thousands of eyes watching his every move, soon the authorities would have a breakthrough too. Throughout Throughout 2021, Suspect from Active Gang was having success after success with his music. On June the 24th, 2021, Suspect has the opening verse and a second verse on the huge plugged-in cypher with Fumes the Engineer. In his lyrics, he rapped about the murder of a rival from 51st, Lewis Blackman, aka Dotty, the Peckwater teen who gatecrashed the ops party and ended up being killed by members of Tottenham Gang OFB, with Suspect rapping that they dropped him, so I can't complain, and shouting out his locked up friends. In the song, he raps that he has 2 G's in his blunt, a metaphor for the 2 gang members, C-Miz and Culprit, that he personally claims responsibility for killing. And he rapped in vivid detail about chest shots making his ops lie down, seemingly another reference to Culprit, who suffered this very fate. And Suspect continues referencing his ops in Peckwater, 51st, who wear blue, with a slick lyric saying that he turns blue into purple when he sees red, a reference to the colour made when the blue bandanas of his ops mix with their red blood, and tying it all together with a Suwoo ad-lib proudly declaring his status as a Blood Gang member. During an IG Live in June 2021, T-Scam also tells a fan that Suspect is still in the
I ain't gonna lie, bro. After this, I ain't gonna lie.
same local area, and so is SY, and someone in the background says that they're chilling with Jason Bourne.
Hey, T-Scam.
Yo, brother.
Where's Suspect?
Suspect, he's local. He's local. He went to the shop. He's coming back soon.
Hey.
Yo, when he comes back, I'm gonna show him.
Inshallah. Where's SY?
He's with Sus.
He's with Jason Bourne.
Now, despite what T-Scam and Suspect would have you believe, he was not in the local area. He was 6,000 miles away, hiding out in Kenya, but nobody knew it yet. Seemingly hadn't gotten away with murder, slowly Suspect was getting more and more eager to soak up the limelight, having generally kept his face covered most of his career and relying on body doubles in music videos. On July the 19th, 2021, Suspect would begin to get sloppy, accidentally revealing his face on live, teasing a new song with T-Scam. These Instagram live sessions would become a fixture amongst
Oh my goodness. Like, ain't no way niggas doing bad like this. Oh my goodness. Like,
active gang members who were looking to make a name for themselves on the internet. On July the 31st, 2021, T-Scam hops on Instagram Live to let random kids rap. Suspect then joins, and T-Scam calls him the most famous guy in the world.
Hey, Sus, join. I'm gonna add Sus. Let's add the most famous guy in the world. Suspect AGB.
The live view account then rockets from the low hundreds to thousands as Suspect raps one of his favourite T-Scam lyrics. T-Scam would then muse over Suspect's newfound fame.
Bro, look how many views. I can't go on live with you, bro. What do you mean 1,400? Hey. You're famous. Let me get autograph. Let me get your autograph, man. You're famous.
And they would discuss their workflow and parts of songs that Suspect had recorded that they were sending back and forth. They would seemingly then attempt to throw people off the trail, telling their Instagram Live viewers that they would meet in person at the studio tomorrow in Camden.
Actually, no. Hey, listen.
Go on.
Link me tomorrow or something. We'll go Friday, innit?
Yeah, come. We'll go there tomorrow, innit? What time though? Call him from now. I'm patting it from now so we can just go to the studio quickly.
And one fan would even start rapping his own violent drill freestyle to T-Scam and Suspect, with them reacting, saying they only like it if he really did everything he said.
What you know about two-man gliding? What you know about two-man sliding? Upway trips and you know that's mileage. Any upways get blocked like Friday. You must be crazy.
Bro, is it real life?
No, real life fam, bro. Real life
The man think I don't think he was gonna say that.
No, trust me, bro. Real life, bro.
If it's real life, that was a good 8, Steve.
It was real life, bro. No need to cut, man. Good options, fam. No, fam.
Suspect, and to a lesser extent T-Scam, were becoming household names in the UK drill scene with their social media antics. And with all of this going on, perhaps Suspect felt that the sky was truly the limit when it came to his career. On August the 6th, 2021, Suspect would get the opportunity he'd been waiting for, when West London drill legend Fredo, affiliated with the Harrow Road Boys on the Mozart estate, dropped his new album Independence Day, including a song called Double Tap, featuring Suspect. The song was an instant hit and ended up becoming Suspect's second most streamed song to date, at the time of writing having over 15 million spins on Spotify. The track would go on to land at number 73 on the UK singles charts, landing Suspect his first and only charting song. Double Tap was a surprising entry on the mainstream music charts, considering the violent content and chorus mainly concerned with firearms. But it was also a display of Suspect's top-level wordplay, using double entendres to describe his grisly life in the streets in a way that really made you think, like this line, where he describes having 2 hands on a 12-gauge shotgun as well as 2 hands fans being at 12, describing the position of a clock at midnight, as well as another amusing and historically accurate bar where he describes his gang using a rusty old gun from World War II, a common occurrence in the UK where firearms are hard to come by, with suspect rapping that the rusty gun he's using to drill could well have been used to kill a Nazi in World War II, and describing the gun as so old that it's been around since Winston Churchill. It's these kind of clever
my dog better start barking. Time to mute until it's on the talk.
and creative ways of talking about violence that garnered Suspect his cult following. And despite the horrific acts of violence he'd carried out, he clearly had a talent for music to paint a picture of these awful things that he had done. Suspect was one of the realest and rawest drill rappers ever to get on the mic, and he was seemingly doing all of this while on the run from the authorities on serious charges. Days after the song releases, Suspect tweets that his story will be televised one day, and whether or not that's true, it certainly made it to YouTube. Suspect had become a legend in the UK drill scene, and at this point, fans were watching his every move. After the murder of Culprit, their subsequent fleeing to Kenya, Suspect and S-Wavy would continue to post together on social media following the murders. However, as Suspect's hunger for fame rose, so too did his need to post. And every time he did post, he would have thousands of people watching. But unfortunately for him, it was only a matter of time before he slipped up and gave some clues. And people on Reddit eventually figured out that he was in Kenya through his social media posts. A Reddit user by the name Matako Yambwa made a post on the popular r/UK drill subreddit explaining that he's Kenyan and that he noticed in pictures that Suspect had posted to social media, he recognized plug sockets and wall tiles common in Nairobi. In September 2021, Reddit users worked out that Suspect was in Kenya. Despite Suspect trying to confuse people by tagging his location in these pictures as Monaco, he had just made a fatal mistake in revealing his location to the world. But perhaps he didn't even know it yet, and it would take the authorities some time to figure it out themselves. On September the 16th, legendary Brixton drill rapper SR, formerly known as Stabber, yes Stabber, releases the official remix to his hit single Snap It, featuring verses from a handful of the most respected drill rappers from all over London, including Lowski, SD, G-Trap, and of course Active Gang's very own Suspect, with an Agar Grove Street sign displayed prominently on the album cover to make his affiliations clear. Suspect would once again appear in the big budget music video via the use of an actor, and whilst this song was allowed to remain on YouTube, the comments were turned off. This would be followed up a week later by an
Yeah, he put Monaco to throw him off, but the picture revealed too much, and now they know where he at.
Another guest appearance on South London drill legend Lowski's album, with Suspect contributing a verse on the booming track Whoosh and Push, another violent drill anthem that saw Suspect comparing himself to Camden's Vladimir Putin, and describing his gang AGB as being as deadly as the Russian KGB. While Suspect was continuing to have success in the industry,
That's a crazy claim, because them Russians, they don't play. They don't play at all.
his die-hard fans on Reddit, who had now uncovered his location, were beginning to turn on him. In October, on the UK drill subreddit, a poll appeared, asking if Suspect was in the wrong for acting like he's still in the UK, beefing people who are thousands of miles away when he knows he's never coming back. A few days later, Suspect would be singing along to a music video on his TV, seemingly yet another layered reference to his dead ops. But by this point, Suspect being in Kenya had become a running joke within the Reddit community, as people would crack jokes in the comments saying that the air looks Kenya, saying that the TV stand and hardwood is clearly sourced from Kenya, and that now he would have to do his drills with the spear. On October the 17th, 2021, Suspect released his new song, Encore, and that came with a
Doing drills with a spear is so see, that's funny as shit.
music video that even featured social media footage of the Met Police's armed raid on the Broad Day music video shoot. The track Encore itself was yet another instance where Suspect got in the booth and used clever wordplay and cultural references to paint a picture of his violent life, opening the verse using members of the Fantastic Four to describe his powers when it comes to harming his ops. Then, that track was followed up on December the 16th, 2021, when UK rap and grime channel GRM Daily released Suspect's Freestyle Session, another high-energy and aggressive murder anthem full of dark lyrics like this one about using his zombie knife to open people's heads, but assuring listeners that he doesn't eat people's brains like zombies from the movies, even admitting that if he gets caught, he could be looking at 30 years in prison if he doesn't fix up and cover his traces, clearly showing some degree of self-awareness regarding his location here. That track would be followed up by another collab with Nino Uptown, the track Frostbite, on January the 20th, 2022, with Suspect having the gall to describe himself on the song as a block hero and the neighborhood savior, and ending his verse saying his music career is now bringing in a lot of money and that he's now killed his ops with success, as well as the literal murders he committed. This is one of Suspect's last public releases, but you can tell from this one that his arrogance is growing, and at this point he truly felt untouchable. However, little did he know the authorities were hot on his trail as a result of his reckless posting on social media. By 2022, Suspect had been on the run for 2 years and 4 months. Suspect met a woman in Kenya named Halima and got married. He would shout her out in the track Final Moments on Suspicious Activity, and they would even have a son together. Suspect's son was named Arif, after co-conspirator in the culprit murder who didn't manage to get away, Armed Response. Other pictures would circulate, appearing to show Suspect with his face fully on show, wearing an active gang hat, with fans
Bro, he's wildin', bro. Like, you gotta, like, come on, bro.
calling this the stupidest thing they'd ever seen. With
facts, like, what, like, bro, you on a run? Did you forget? Like,
others analysing the scenery in the picture and working out that he was in Mombasa, Kenya. Mombasa is a coastal city in southeastern Kenya with a population of 900,000 people, a popular travel destination for its beautiful beaches. It would appear that Suspect was living a normal life and literally taking beach vacations within Kenya. Even once the internet had worked out he was in Kenya, Suspect must have thought no one was looking for him 2 years after the crime. Or perhaps he was simply unaware of the extradition treaty between the UK and Kenya. Extradition is the formal process where one country asks another to return a person in order for them to stand trial and serve a sentence. And the UK has such treaties with over 100 countries around the world, including Kenya. Notably missing from that list is Somalia. It still baffles me to this day why Suspect didn't choose Somalia along with SY and Reeks, who to this day have still never been caught. 2022 was supposed to be Suspect's year. In January, he's tweeting prolifically, teasing his upcoming debut album Suspicious Activity, and taking an abrupt break from Twitter after January the 21st with a final motivational tweet reading, "Everything you need is out there, go get it." Perhaps the Metropolitan Police themselves had read that tweet, because only 5 days later, after an astounding 898 days after the murder of culprit, on the 26th of January 2022, both Suspect and S-Wavy were arrested in the early hours of the morning in Nairobi, Kenya, the country's capital. They were charged with the murder of Alex Smith, aka Culprit, after an international arrest warrant had been issued and executed, with the whole process being coordinated by the ODPP, International Cooperation, Extradition and Mutual Legal Assistance Division. They tracked both of them down to Nairobi's upmarket Kilimani area, where they had been staying since sneaking into Kenya in 2019. S-Wavy was located at the Al Dar Apartments, where police used smoke bombs to conduct a dramatic raid, while Suspect was located in his residence at house number A308 in Medea Gardens. The two locations are only about 2.5 kilometers away from each other, about a 7-minute drive. Director DCI George Kinoti said after the arrests that Kenya will not be a safe haven for fugitives, and warned any other suspect hiding that their days are numbered, saying outright,
but it's like, bro, that's why when you do crimes and stuff like that and you don't live that type of lifestyle, bro, you gotta understand what comes with it. If you want to try to get out and act like that life behind you, it's never behind you, especially if they never even tried you. No, once you get tried and you beat the case, you beat the case. But if you never beat the case, you gotta stay on the hideout forever. Like, there is no time off.
If you commit a crime, be ready to face the law. We will smoke you out. Following the arrests, more details would soon emerge of their sloppy attempts to hide out. The pair apparently had gained entry to Kenya on visitors' visas, which they never renewed, meaning that they were considered illegals in the country. After being arrested, it was reported that Suspect's wife and lawyer were due to hold a press conference, where Halima and the lawyer representing both Suspect and S-Wavy, as well as S-Wavy's sister, came out to say that they believed that they had been killed in police custody, since the police had refused any communications with the suspects following the arrest.
There were matters on social media yesterday about 2 young men who were arrested, and purportedly it was indicated that extradition proceedings may be brought against them. And from yesterday we have been trying to get audience from our clients, and my greatest concern is the police have completely refused to give us access. For whatever reasons, we do not know the full facts, but there was talk about extradition. We don't mind. If they want to bring extradition proceedings, we can deal with that. But what I can't deal with personally is the police denying me the right for a lawyer to see a client.
I'm Halima. My husband Tariq was taken 6 in the morning yesterday, so it was really bad. They just took.
But so if y'all beat cases in the UK, you can get tried again. Because in the US, once you beat a case, that's it. Like, that's it. It's no retrial.
They never told me where he was being taken. It's been since yesterday at 6 till now. we haven't seen them or anything. So until now, it can't be found anywhere.
Siad Abdelhakim Mahmoud was arrested in the early mornings yesterday around 7 a.m. It's been over 35 hours. We have no proof of life. We just want to know if he's alive. We just need proof of life. At this moment, it's been over 35 hours. So.
I see, and this is the part about like they looking at it like that's my brother, that's my husband. He's never been violent to nobody. I never seen him. Y'all don't know what type of double lives niggas live though, because if you got family members or you got a girlfriend or relationships, you're not gonna show them that side of your life. You're never even gonna give them the inclination that you live that side of life. Oh, that's wild. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, but in the U.S., every crime is like that. Once you beat a crime, they can't try you again for the same exact crime. But they looking at it like, oh my God, what happened to him? No, he's a criminal.
It's just very, very
He's a criminal.
very emotional. Thank you.
While numerous pictures of Suspect had circulated which Reddit commenters suggested had located him to the country of Kenya, this particular picture is actually the one that some say led Kenyan police to their exact location. This was a photo showing both Suspect and S-Wavy in the basement of a popular shopping mall only 15 minutes away of where they were caught. This is the AdLife Plaza in the heart of Kilimani in Nairobi, with comments suggesting that the pair would have looked completely out of place in Kenya wearing Trapstar and Nike Tech tracksuits popular amongst London gang members. One commenter even claimed to have spoken to the mall security who recognized the pair and said that they stood out and that he thought that they were American gangsters.
These niggas can't be serious, bro. They can't be serious, bro. They can't be serious.
Even going on to claim that this particular mall is extremely secure with only one entrance and a strict search policy with 2 security guards, while others suggested that Suspect and S-Wavy had actually been out partying in nightclubs regularly and telling people who they were. This is likely the Club Gemini that's literally located at the top of this very shopping mall. Ultimately, the chase was finally over, and Suspect would now be in police custody. No more nightclubs, no more studio, and no more IG lives. Or so you'd think, as despite being denied communication with both his wife and his lawyer, Suspect would seemingly still manage to access a phone and communicating with friends on the outside world, ultimately FaceTiming his friends back home to show them the luxury Kenyan jail experience he was having, where he was still allowed to have KFC delivered.
Show them yourself.
Luxury Kenyan jail. Oh yeah, I'm tired of niggas. I'm tired of niggas.
We got KFC.
However, the finger-licking high life of the Kenyan prison system sadly wouldn't last, and soon after, photos would emerge depicting Suspect during the extradition process. On Sunday, the 30th of January 2022, the pair would be brought back to the UK, and updated mugshots for both would be released, and they would appear.
Can't trust the Reddit comments. It's not even that though. You gotta really think about it. If they was dressed like that, and there's a picture of them dressed like that in Kenya, then they probably walked around dressed like that. Because what other clothes do they have? They didn't buy new clothes to cover, so.
Here at Westminster Magistrates Crown Court on Monday the 31st of January, being remanded in custody, set to appear at prominent British court the Old Bailey on Wednesday the 2nd of February in connection to the murder of culprit. On the 2nd of February, S-Wavy would appear in court at the Old Bailey via video link from Wandsworth Prison, while Suspect did not attend due to illness. Judge Alexi Duran set a plea hearing for the 20th of April and remanded the defendants into custody. However, it would seem that even in the face of his capture, extradition, and charges, Suspect had no plans to put his music career on hold. In a since-deleted Instagram post put up around this time, Suspect's management confirmed that they had been given access to his social media accounts. In a bold-faced post stating,
oh, yeah, no, that. But I mean, they could have possibly said it though, because it's like when you get drunk, you start saying anything. And it's like, you know what you're saying, but you just don't care. So they might have slipped up a couple times, but they probably won't on some like every night type. They go out and just be like, yeah, I'm so, like, they probably won't doing that, but they probably did slip up a couple times.
Due to unforeseen circumstances, unfortunately, Suspect has been arrested. As we all know, Suspect is innocent and will be back in due time. This post was ultimately
innocent.
An announcement that his debut album would be releasing on February the 6th, 2022. And when the 6th came, fans would receive a 12-track album titled Suspicious Activity. The album was an impressive body of work.
No, I know what you're saying, but like now that it came out, because remember how when he said he went to France when he was on a run at first, and he was telling them, yeah, I killed somebody, and they didn't believe him? It was probably a situation like that. He probably said it, slipped up, but they probably didn't care because they didn't believe him. They didn't know who he was. But now that all the shit that came out, now they're like, oh shit, that's a dude I was in the club with.
Work, despite its brutal content. It would open in cinematic fashion with an intro track that had a narrator describing the dog-eat-dog environment in the streets of Camden that Suspect hailed from. In the verse, Suspect once again references kids' nursery rhymes, comparing his murdered ops to Humpty Dumpty. On the track Final Moments, Suspect seems to poke fun at Culprit and his death, despite his extradition and the outstanding charges. On Freedom's Priceless, Suspect says that he's playing hide and seek with Trident, the organised crime unit of the London Met Police, a game which ironically, by the time the album released, he had duly lost. On the track Z to A, Suspect once again flexes his lyrical abilities, using his verse to make references to things starting with the letter Z and working his way back to A throughout the song, and rapping that despite the fact he was in jail, missing his GCSE examinations in high school, he's still educated enough to write a song with a backwards A to Z structure. It also had the song Caught in the Rain, which went on to become one of Suspect's most streamed tracks. The song had a catchy hook where Suspect raps that he celebrates when his ops die and grieve, and reveling in the fact that he kills people and still makes songs, and bragging about how he hit the charts with a song all about guns, a reference to Double Tap with Fredo, charting at number 73 on the UK singles charts. It also came with gritty bars about his shank plunging in and out of ops' chests, and he would rap Free Armed Response, who was that getaway driver for Culprit's murder, who had already got life in prison, likely not realizing that by the time this song was released, he would be facing the very same charges. Ironically later, rapping how he got rid of his phone in an effort not to be tracked, like his co-defendant. In the second verse, he compares himself to Lil Durk, going on to describe his disturbing mindset, saying that he's infatuated with drill and that if you flip his kill switch, he will send people to hell, and claiming that he feels nothing when he does this because the streets turned him into a soldier. The album did somewhat well, at one point being number 12 on the Apple Music Top Albums, but it did not chart on the official UK albums charts. And despite not attracting mainstream success, the album...
Bro, it was 12? 12? That is crazy.
Album did become a cult classic.
But like, and it's not even because of this. It's just like that album was so good. This is why I still put it as number one out of all the albums I've done. Because bro, that's just like, I'm trying to tell you, bro.
Amongst UK drill fanatics, with followers on Reddit describing it as the greatest UK drill album of all time. The cult following of Suspect and his legal issues meant that he would rack up millions of spins on the album over the course of 2022. Unconfirmed reports claimed that by December of 2022, the album had sold nearly 11,000 units, with the suggestion that this would be the equivalent of around £100,000.
That's like $105,000, I think, based on conversion, or that might be more. That's how much money we talking, chat. Yep, 125.
Drill's Snapchat pages joked that he would be able to buy unlimited Oreos and tins of tuna with his commissary. Meanwhile, commenters would suggest that 100,000 goes towards the best available lawyers, as despite achieving glory through music and evading the police for over 2 years, the end result was still Suspect in handcuffs, sitting in jail and awaiting trial for the murder of Culprit. And considering the fact that he had spent the last 2 years believing that he would never be caught, rapping recklessly,
suspicious activity too.
In the meantime, other members of Active Gang would continue to wage war in the streets and racking up serious charges. After playing an active role in the murders of his gang rivals, C-Miz and Culprit, Suspect and S-Wavy of Active Gang had fled to Kenya, and Suspect managed to go on the musical run of a lifetime, spending about 2 years and 4 months recording music, openly bragging about the murders he'd committed in gruesome detail, all the while evading and taunting the police who were desperately trying to solve this case. And after his extradition in January, 6 months later, Suspect would seemingly also get access to the internet, beginning to post to Twitter again in June and August of 2022, tweeting boastfully about how his ops still mentioned his name after the murders he committed, tweeting Free Double S in reference to himself and S-Wavy, who along with SY, who was still on the run in Somalia at this point, previously made up the deadly trio Triple S. Suspect would seemingly reflect on some of the clout-chasing slip-ups that landed him in jail, tweeting, "God forgive me for getting lost in the sauce," and social media blurring too many lines, as well as tweets indicating he feels like his life has been a movie, as well as another optimistic post suggesting that he believes he'll be free by 2023. Later, he would go on a series of
it's currently 2025 and he's not free.
Tweets suggesting that he's having dark thoughts that he cannot say out loud or he'll be sectioned under the Mental Health Act, as well as bigging himself up, saying he's really that guy, just wait and see.
With AK-47s, oh yeah.
Perhaps another indication that he thought he might be able to beat these charges. Perhaps that explains his next tweet, appearing to suggest that he's not really a killer and that he's just a music performer, a villain character, with drill music being all entertainment. Going on to reach pretty hard with a statement saying how if an actor catches a case, they won't play his movie in court, but they're going to play suspect's music.
That is an insane reach, but that is true. But at the same time, it's an insane reach because we know the movies are fiction. So you can't even say that. Like, you can't say that.
Pictures and videos of suspect from behind bars would emerge while he awaited trial, like this video where he's seen as part of a crew throwing up active gang signs while somebody gets a beating in jail. Another picture of him would surface on broad day Snapchat with the caption, "Free the Mastermind," and another iconic photo of him living good in his cell wearing a Versace bathrobe. He would even record multiple freestyles via
Wait, hold on. You mean to tell me this nigga got his hands on a Versace bathrobe in jail? I'm tired of niggas, bro. To fight in the war. Hey, dog. Ain't no way.
Some phones which were uploaded online.
Sounds like my lyricism. I told bro, be this that before your name, that's some constructive criticism. Mum said I never listened. Son, how you back in prison? I ain't have a father figure. Me and gang went different fishing. Always trust my intuition. Never make a split decision. 3 years, 3 blitz through my whole crew gang.
Pretty face, I'm perfect from the waist down. I ain't trying to waste time. I heard through the grapevine. It was not nice, used to chop in the rain. Mom, there's no win in the game.
However,
I'm telling you, bro, that second album might be the one for real.
Quarter member C2, who suspect had previously mocked in a music video for working as a model, would post multiple times alluding to suspect being jumped and beaten up in prison, saying that he's having a tough time in jail and that there had been suspicious activity on D-Wing.
That is facts, though. That is facts. Hold on. So, he fled for the murder, got caught by police, and got away from the police somehow. I don't know how you get caught by police and get away. Thailand? Bro, niggas be too outside, bro.
Seemingly in response, suspect would post mocking C2, posting a picture of him in a wig and saying that he likes to feel like a little lady and congratulating him on trying to find himself and acting like a bad boy this year. C2, apparently in jail too during this time, would end up making his own jailhouse freestyle, named after suspect's hit song Caught in the Rain, dissing dead ops from active gang. Despite the daily struggles of being the most wanted member of a prominent gang in jail, suspect...
So when he stabbed somebody in prison, did that extend his sentence? I mean, it should have if they found out. Well, if everybody knows.
Appeared to be optimistic while in prison, posting Instagram replies.
C2 got... Oh my god, see, niggas gotta stop talking.
That he would be at Wireless Festival the next year, and that he would even be home soon. In November, suspect would freestyle for his fellow inmates as they gathered around and cheered him on.
No cap, got blowback, laugh when I see F1 for a throwback.
Y'all be quiet. I'm trying to listen. Y'all be quiet.
Knows that chatter you want, but you can't get your bros back. Run the streets, got chinged up. Parts where his hair won't grow back.
Like, bro, I'm telling you, this nigga. Like, bro, he, like, I know it's violent, but he the truth, bro.
Can't get your bros back. Run them streets, got chinged up. Parts where his hair won't grow back. Not my whole shank, hold that. Pull up toast like Joe Van Tan got feds like Siemens eyes, I don't wanna roll back.
It would be over a year that suspect would wait in jail for his trial before the day would finally come. He and S-Wavy would file not guilty pleas in June 2022, and so the trial for the murder of Alex Smith, aka Culprit, would begin on the 27th of March 2023 at the Old Bailey, and pictures would emerge showing suspect in the dock in court.
So that's why he's still locked up. They didn't have a trial until 2023.
Smiling. Judge Sarah Monroe KC was the judge on the case. She had gained national attention earlier in the year, making history being the first ever judge to hand down a sentence in a case that was televised live.
The sentence I pass upon you is therefore one of life imprisonment.
Initial reports on social media would circulate claiming that the pair would not be identified by their rap aliases, nor would their lyrics or music be used in court at all.
You knew he didn't attend court? I mean, it's no point. He's fried.
As well as suggesting that the prosecution would mainly rely on cell site data to put suspect at the scene, with other reports suggesting this wasn't accurate and that witnesses might not be able to identify suspect. It would turn out that a lot of this social media reporting suggesting that the prosecution was struggling was complete cope. This same account also claimed that there was a man in the courtroom wearing a trap star puffer jacket and that he understood the culture and was going to get suspect off. Now, it's unclear whether or not this was complete trolling or whether there was some truth to it, but due to these posts, many members of the UK drill subreddit and community were led to believe that suspect had a much higher chance of freedom than he really did. On May the 10th, just days before the verdict, suspect would be seen on social media FaceTiming his Kenyan wife Halima. Now, I wasn't able to find full court documents relating to the trial publicly, so it's unclear.
Oh no, you know how they get the capping. They get the capping fast too. I already knew they was capping when I seen that.
Clear exactly what evidence was used against him, but some crime Twitter pages tweeted that a lot of interesting details came up during the trial. They used suspect's many convictions as a youth offender, bringing up that he had a total of 18 convictions.
I'm not gonna lie, you gotta use that. A nigga with 41 offenses before age 8. What are we talking about? Like,
for 41 offences prior to the murder. They would also be told details about the ongoing gang war in Camden, which suspect and culprit had both been involved in. The court would also hear a victim impact statement from culprit's mother, who said that she was haunted by the thought of her son being hunted by a pack of knife-wielding gangsters. However, suspect's defense would emphasize that suspect grew up in foster care and did not have intent to kill. The court would hear about how
This is interesting.
Suspect and S-Wavy fled the country after the murder and bragged about the murder in several songs.
That is facts though, but he hasn't been called for C-Mins. Oh, so he might actually get up.
With culprit's mother making direct references to lyrics from his freestyle, with it being reported that that song had been analysed in detail in court, with it likely that
Then they just say they weren't gonna use the music though. Hey man, see what I'm talking about.
these lyrics about tripping up ops and stabbing them in the chest and leaving estates red taped no doubt harmed his case dramatically. It's ironic that this freestyle that ended with him rapping about his op that didn't make it, and now that
Say you sworn at 2047? Bro, it's 2025, bro. That's still 20 years from now. He's still gonna be locked.
he's rapping about the murder he might make it ended up sealing his fate. In the end, on the 10th of May 2023, both suspect and S-Wavy would be found guilty for the murder of Alex Smith, after which they refused to participate in proceedings, failing to attend the sentencing. So
wait, so how old is suspect right now? Because how old is he gonna be when he gets out?
2 days later, the sentence would be handed down in their absence, with suspect getting life with a minimum of 24 years, and S-Wavy receiving a minimum of 23 years.
They got sentenced to life with a minimum, but I don't see them doing what they need to do to get parole in that time. He's 25 yesterday. Bro, so he gonna be like 40, like 2.
Apparently the judge even admonished suspect and S-Wavy for making music celebrating the death of culprit during the sentencing. Friends and affiliates would post reacting to this news, and later, reporting would suggest that neither suspect...
You'll be 53? Shit, I'm gonna be what? Damn, I'm gonna be like 40 something when that nigga come out. Damn.
Or S-Wavy showed any remorse or explanation for their crimes throughout the trial, and footage of suspect settling into life in prison with Triggy would circulate after the sentencing, and eventually a picture would even surface showing Active Gang's most prominent rappers, T-Scam and Suspect, both together.
Bro, that is insane, bro. I'm gonna be what? Like 40, I wanna say 40, no. I can't add right now. But I really can't add right now. I'm tweaking. Let me pull the calculator. Cause for some reason I can't add. My calculator. My math isn't mathing on facts. Like I'm tweaking. $22. So that's 24/7 is 22 years from now. So add 22 to your age. I'm gonna be 45 when I get out.
Together in jail. Meanwhile, SY, who had still managed to evade justice in Somalia, would post to his Snapchat reacting to the news with heartbreak emojis and calling to free the innocent. Ultimately, Suspect's wild story had finally come to an end, and despite what any active gang fans might say, finally justice had been delivered for Alex Smith, aka Culprit. And after spending 2 years and 4 months running free and mocking the death of this young man, now Suspect would have to face the next 24 years in a jail cell for what he had done on the 12th of August 2019.
Two men have been stabbed to death in 2 separate attacks in Kentish Town in North London last night. The body of the first victim, believed to be in his late teens, was found a couple of hours before police discovered the second victim, who's thought to be in his 20s. Investigating officers...
Local residents have said that they saw the mother of the teenager being comforted by the police. She was in an emotional state.
5 months is...
They took a part out of the video? T-Scam Chinks part? I didn't know that was in there. I was interested to see the Chinks part though, but I guess it's not in here.
We want to reassure every Camden resident that the safety of our communities is our highest priority.
I beg you, people that got to knife children, say stop please.
We're talking to the family, and local residents on the estate say they're shocked and saddened to what's happened, but say this is a reality of living in this area.
And we are...
Oh, facts. What my man's Chinks said. And it's crazy because my dog started barking. I muted and he stopped barking immediately. That is insane. It's like he knows what he's doing. But yeah, like I want to hear about the Chinks part.
Are directing all of our attention and resources to keep you safe.
They are going to go out and kill any Somali in retaliation.
Basically, if you're Somali, yeah, and you're around Camden, get back.
Bro, I was talking about the plugged in, bro. I got stuff to do.
Inside. Alex Smith was just 16 years old when he was fatally...
Like, y'all don't know, when I got off street, I went to the gym yesterday. I was deadlifting and I was about to like pass out, bro. Like I was so tired.
He stabbed on August 12th, 2019 on the Regent's Park estate in Camden.
We do now seem to hear about people being shot dead, guns being fired in parts of North London.
It's all that matters. St. Aloysius Church, there is panic.
A shocking footage shows the moment...
Wait, John, why you say G? You didn't say nothing else.
The brawl exploded in front of horrified shoppers at the luxury London flagship store.
Whoever was in the car pulled out a shotgun and sprayed pellets into the crowd.
Our thoughts are, of course, with all those concerned.
Two murder fugitives who were arrested in Nairobi over the weekend have been extradited to face trial in the UK.
Brother Siad Abdelhakim Mahmoud was arrested in the early mornings yesterday around 7 a.m. It's been over 35 hours. We have no proof of life. We're just very, very concerned, and it's been very emotional. My husband Tariq was taken 6 in the morning yesterday. It's been a rough moment for us. We really need to see them.
Mohammed Abdi Hakim, 24, and Montero Mangle, 21, both British nationals, were arrested on Sunday in Kilimani. However, to many residents, the damage has been done. One individual stating, "How many innocent lives must be lost before our streets are kept safe?"
How many innocent lives? Technically, no one in this picture is innocent. You want to be like 100%.
In the end, it was the very same brand of violent drill music that made Suspect famous that also brought...
Bro, do you not know Dubai's laws are kind of crazy too? Like, if you're not married to the person, say you got a girlfriend, right? If you're not married, you can't even sleep in the same room. If you do anything sexual, you'll be jailed. That is crazy.
About his...
AK is innocent? Oh, AK.
Downfall. Arguably, had he not gone on the run, making a name for himself as a drill rapper and making hundreds of thousands of pounds in the process, the end result likely would have been the same. He deserved punishment, not just for the murders that he'd committed, but for the pain that he had caused the victim's family by evading justice and boasting about the murders in front of millions of adoring drill fans. In the modern age of gangster rap, the King Vons, Pooh Shiesties, and Gucci Manes of the world have always gotten a lot of attention for the...
I forgot about Shiesty. He was tough too. Don't commit crimes there.
Legal cases they were...
I mean, yeah, but like, they laws are stricter than other places.
Associated with. Whether it's killing rival gangsters, killing
Well,
someone in
actually,
self-defense,
I don't know if I can say that, but it's like their laws are different. Like, it's like a different lifestyle.
or shooting someone in a hot-headed argument, the modern rap game just can't help but lavish attention on those who have openly lived a life.
So you telling me, because I seen some where old under 18s. No, but I'm talking about adults. Like, adults went there and it was like on some, y'all not married, y'all can't sleep in the same room. Like, all that wild, just...
Right on the boundaries of what the law allows or allows you to get away with. Suspect was one of the most extreme examples of when keeping it real goes wrong. In November 2021, just 2 months...
We're going to check after this video finishes. It's only a couple minutes left.
Months before he was caught, Suspect posted the following to social media, saying essentially, if you haven't done dirt in the street, you shouldn't be rapping. I think this comment truly sums up the problem with drill music.
Muslim citizens?
Once
hold on, bro, because now I got to look, because I swear, hold on. Quite acceptable. No more illegal. So it used to be illegal. I know I wasn't tripping. I know.
Once upon a time, in the days of Rick Ross, rap was all about just painting a picture of the criminal lifestyle and not necessarily living it. Fans would suspend their disbelief and sort of knew that rappers were rappers. Even
I have a lot. I heard it a while ago, so whenever I did hear it, it was probably when it was legal.
if the people around them
Yo, fucking, oh my goodness. Let me see. Oh, it already came up. I hope not as insane. It's illegal. And you a discrimination of violence. I think they killed somebody that was like that over there.
might still have been involved in gangs or street activity. But since the rise of Chicago drill music, nowadays, the most compelling rappers are the ones who really do all the stuff they rap about. But in this mature rap game, where rap fans have essentially heard it...
Who y'all got out this? I ain't gonna lie, I got Youngboy. Youngboy every time. Durk is strong second, but I got Youngboy every time.
all before, to stand apart, you really need to have more and more bold claims just to get attention. It took King Von claiming to have killed 7 people in his music
One no claim. One no claim.
for people to stand up and really pay attention, and that paid him handsomely. In the case of Suspect, he didn't even get serious about music until he had seemingly killed 2 people. But this idea that people who haven't killed anyone or got active in the streets being disqualified from rapping is just absurd. Suspect really lived what he rapped, and look where it got him. He fled to Kenya to escape his fate.
Lil Jeff, you talking about Bloodhound Lil Jeff?
But ultimately justice would come and find him even 6,000 miles away. While he was on the run, he indeed did demonstrate that he had a talent as a rapper and a writer. His wordplay and performing ability made him one of the most compelling rappers in UK drill history. But the way he sees it, if he didn't kill 2...
Yeah. I heard of him. I heard of, what's his name? Scoon. Who else? I don't know, a lot of, I just heard of DCG Brothers. They tough. Like, they tough. Like, I'm about to do a reaction. They so tough.
people, nobody would have cared. Now, I think that's incredibly pessimistic. Maybe Suspect sees it that way, but I truly believe that with his talent, he could have been a successful rapper in UK drill without bringing death and destruction down onto his own community. Sadly, we will never know whether or not he would have succeeded without the horrible crimes. But an interesting contrast to the story of Suspect would be that of fellow active gang member 2 Smoky. Over the course of this beat,
Suspect story is like, it's not the craziest I done heard, but it's crazy.
Several members have actually rapped about their Islamic faith, often rapping about how they're bad Muslims, more interested in the violence and murder than practicing religion. 2 Smoky was one of these people, even rapping in the song Knockdown Ginger how he should...
Right, I was doing them and nobody really like fucking with them, so I was like, you know what? I have a lot of them DCG brothers. I might react to them because I listen.
Have been practicing his deen, but instead he was on the...
Like a Patreon, so they don't be getting blocked. I stopped doing them because like nobody really watching them. So I was like, I mean, if nobody watching them, it's no point me posting them. But if y'all want me to do them, I'll do them again.
Op block spraying machines. Perhaps these...
It's like Chicago's kind of out of my, like, it's drill, but it's out of my realm. So like most of the people that watch are for UK and New York.
These His lyrics meant more to him than they did to the other members who repeated it. Too Smoky had had major success with his January the 24th, 2021 breakout track, Corn, pretty much a love letter to shooting. On July the 9th, a jailed Too Smoky announces from behind bars on social media that he's quitting music completely, all for the sake of Allah, telling fans that he was planning to focus on his religion and encouraging them to delete his song.
Yeah, I seen this. This was good though. Like, this is what you should do. Put the street stuff behind you. But I mean, what was I about to say? And then on top of that, some of the Chicago drill, I don't even like some of them. Like Q50, he cool. Jeff and they cool too, but like, I don't really care for it either.
Songs and not play them anymore. Too Smoky would eventually even react to the guilty verdict that Suspect received with a heartbreak emoji and a caption essentially saying the outcome is God's will. Perhaps he saw the likes of AR getting life in jail and realized that he didn't want to go the same way. Ultimately, he chose to try and forge a different path, while Suspect and S-Wavy ended up following Sin and getting life in jail as a result. It's unclear whether or not Too Smoky will be getting out of jail soon, but I think that this was an important story to highlight, because it's really never too late to turn your back on a life of violence. This was an important life in jail as a result. It's unclear whether or not Too Smoky will be getting out of jail soon, but
I thought Too Smoky went, where'd he go? I forgot where he went, but I thought he was free. He got locked up.
I think that this was an important story to highlight, because it's really never too late to turn your back on a life of violence and accept God or positivity into your heart.
This must be old, but I thought he was free.
Too Smoky would quit music to focus on religion whilst in prison and continuing to post religious messages on social media, suggesting that at this point in his life, he was focused on
Wow, that's how you know Chink's really trying to take that step, because for Chinks to repost him, wow.
Finding peace. Gang life is truly a roll of the dice, and you could end up living a movie like Scarface if you're Suspect, or dying horrifically like in a horror film if you're Culprit or C-Miz. There really are no winners here. Suspect is now sat in jail for the majority of his life, leaving his son fatherless in Kenya, likely to grow up with many of the same or different problems that a young Suspect faced. The circumstances change, but the cycle continues, and Suspect is no longer living.
Okay. But hold on, we gotta talk about this fit though. Is this fit not crazy? Versace robe, green pants, black and red Jordans. Like, is this fit not crazy?
The glamorous life of a famous.
How is he getting this in jail? Like, what are we talking about?
He's stuck in jail while Culprit's mother and many others continue to grieve their murdered children and friends, and ultimately, no amount of jail time is going to heal that pain. It's a truly sad state of affairs.
Bro, I ain't never just been chilling and threw some Jordans on. I'm just saying.
Something really needs to be done to make sure that there are less troubled teens like Suspect falling through the cracks of society, bringing pain and destruction to their communities. It's now looking more and more likely that the politician responsible for Camden, Keir Starmer, is going to be the next.
What? Not allowed. Bro, they can send in clothes? What? So niggas be drippy in jail? Oh, what?
Prime Minister of the UK. Now, should the person who couldn't keep Camden under control really going to be the next Prime Minister of the UK? Now, should the person who couldn't keep Camden under control really be running the whole country? But then again, can he really be held responsible? Camden's long history of gang tension.
I mean, honestly, you can't hold him responsible, but I do feel like he didn't do enough to change the course of actions that were going on in the... I mean, but it's hard to change laws and ordinances. Can you see my link? What link? I don't see no. If you drop it in the chat, I don't see it.
Ultimately, Suspect's life was a movie, and it's a tragedy. A young life taken, and another set to spend life in prison, all while many careers and young lives have been wasted, all for very little in return. Meanwhile, at the moment, Reeks and SY are still on the run, believed to be in Somalia, living their best life, and not facing any justice for the part that they allegedly played in these murders. It's hard to say that true justice will ever be served on either side of the fence. But if there's one message that I want to leave you with, it's that if you are a young person growing up in a difficult environment, perhaps even being
Hey, I've learned that through watching this documentary. He don't do a damn thing.
Influenced by or idolizing a drill rapper like Suspect, just take a second to think about the consequences of your actions. Because it only takes one night of hot-headed violence and bad decision-making to end your life or another life permanently. Life is precious, and sometimes, in the heat of a moment of conflict, it's easy to lose sight of the blessings that you already have. I hope you learned something from this story, because I learned a lot from making it. And once again, rest in peace to everyone involved who lost their lives.
That was a good documentary. I'm gonna leave a like, bro. He did his thing, man. Did his thing. I saw. I'm about to look at it. Nah, this shit was funny as shit. That was funny. I just seen someone to look at it. Oh, okay. Chat. You about to see what Drill Talk just sent. Hold on. I'm pressing the wrong thing. Yo, are we seeing the same? Is this? Are they on a yard? Listen to his recent post.
Niggas know, free the locked up members, sad shit in the building. Free the fucking killers, man. You know what it is, man. Trust me. You get me, fam. Yeah, man. Out here, man. Trenching.
Wait, so hold on. Are they in jail and someone's on the outside recording them? Or like, what is going on here?
Trenchy.
Appreciate it, John.
Niggas know, free the locked up members, sad shit in the building. Free the fucking
That's his son. Bro, why she bringing it down to his scalp, bro? She maxing it. Look at this fit. It's a jail fit? Who's bro right here, bro? Swole. Nigga's more swole than me. Isn't this
Elevate, this mix sounds mad.
Something got shot from my back. Something got shot from my car. Something got shot from my father. We fling more shots to the ups in the bar. Beat really a shooting star. Make a wish you don't, but gang won't know for stopping the heart. Look, stop.
Bro, that right there,
I ain't making pay a tax to live.
Chad, what is this?
It's still cracking. Told my niggas when you catch him, better pack him.
Look, what we? I mean.
But lacking, I want lacking, but more about the action. Niggas wanna kill me, I ain't waiting. I'm attacking, I'm a killer, I ain't any nigga rapping. See, I know these niggas hate me, cause they bitches won't rape me. Worry about my safety, I told mommy they won't take me. I got ADHD, I need lean to make me lazy. Niggas talking crazy, I'ma send them out to Hades. Said these niggas talking crazy till I hop at the Mercedes. All my niggas cakey with a strap on, then I paid you with them. Got them older niggas, had them cooling like a baby. Bring me, get your base to entertain me. Fro, she getting hacked in Cali, but my dick gon' make a choker. Then I keep her from my son to go, sacrifice to go. I put 1,000 on my feet, another 1,000 on the coat. I'm looking better than a nigga on the roads. Stepping with my steppers, we gon' step in like roaches. He's already dead, they still gon' pick her in like vultures. Niggas know that I'm the coldest, contributing to the culture. I'm the usual culprit, I ain't making pay a tax to live.
Yeah, like, I really wasn't expecting to hear that. I'm used to rappers doing this, though. So he dropped the drill, too. I mean, I feel like they all try to step out their comfort zone. This, I reacted to this. This. I feel like if he mastered this, it wouldn't be bad, but the auto-tune was a little bit too much.
Elevate, this nigga.
Go hard, bust a nut till I go yard.
He said, for fuck's sake.
Back, put a bullet in your chrome heart. No mask, but I can't let it go past. Trying to turn it up block to a grow yard. Little bro got.
Bro, I'm telling you, this album finna be crazy, bro.
Block in his go yard. Every nigga get checked like Louis V. I heard what the niggas want.
Nigga get checked like, come on,
do to me, they put money on my head that new to me. Like, why the niggas won't kill me? Why? He said something, don't kill me. Why you think they all feel me? I spit the life of a real G. Talking dirt, then I'm filthy.
You trying to say Lowski a glazer? Is that what you trying to say?
Interrupting my kill streak. City of God, this real G. Back in the day called S.Y. Lucy. I was in scats in the Rusi. Kidnap youths cause a nigga try steal peas. I'ma turn all the white girls into lil freaks. Don't shoot blanks cause we shoot back real sweets. Back my shank in an instant. Concrete jungle, animal instinct. Black blade like bad news, let it sinking. Swim my rounds where you're thinking, pimping. Fuck his hole cause you simping, spinting. Sensual shots while they're drinking. Impulse, spin that block off an inkling. My reaper senses are tingling. We don't care if you're kimping, that's just more of a reason to pitch him. Bang your doors if you're listening. Free my dogs in the system.
Nah, that's tough right there. But let me see something.
Elevate.
He said Lowski always commenting sus, ex-sus.
I ain't making pay a tax to live.
That's only 2 posts.
Elevate, this mix sounds mad.
Comment on this one.
That wasn't us, but I still love you.
Nah, he only commented on 2 posts, bro. He not maxing it. This nigga Lowski didn't grow. He used to be a little crash out. He kind of look like He look like two different people though. I can't even like put a name on it. Harlem still active? Like they still outside? Ain't no way they still outside. Ain't no way. Let me hear some Lowski.
You should stay for the night. And I'm on my way to Paris, you should hop on this flight. And she get her own bag, diamonds, big swag. I ain't in the mood, but she gon' make it alright. Yeah. I know a nigga that cold, but he never took the stand.
They doing the classic American. Hold on.
And he was in the station getting busy with them statements, playing sign language, cause he talking with his hand.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow.
50k cash, rip it out the rubber band.
That actually sound fire. I might pre that. That actually sound fire. It's not a bad fit. I hate this jacket though. It's not a bad fit though. Daily W. So I mean, people still outside. That's what it's looking like. But chat, I think that's gonna do it for the stream. I've been live for 3 hours doing one documentary. Youngers causing havoc. Look, the violence never gonna stop, bro. And especially with Suspect being who he is, doing what he did, being on the run for 2 years. You know, people is gonna try to one up that. So like, and when there's bloodshed, the violence is never gonna end, because even if it's a situation where the people that were involved in the loss of their friends and people on both sides, if they decide to, you know, fuck it, let's put an end to the violence, there's still gonna be that one nigga that is just too angry and it's gonna crash out and it's gonna incite it again. So it's just never gonna stop. It's really never gonna stop. And then the younger kids, they don't know any better. So the younger kids are gonna automatically try to do something to fit in, try to do something to be cool. They're not gonna, you know, think about it. So unless, I mean, I don't know, it's really nothing you can do. Even if all the old heads tell them not to do it, they still gonna do something. Because, you know, when you're young, you just don't listen. So it's just like, bro, there's really nothing you can do to stop it, honestly. Like, unless you can get everybody out of the projects and get them all in safe. And even then, they're still, I mean, I don't know, bro. There's really nothing you can do. But I'm about to end. I'm about to go to the gym. Got stuff to do. Some of the reactions from yesterday are gonna drop today, because appreciate you, John, for pulling up. Some of the reactions from yesterday are gonna drop today. Editor sent some of the thumbnails through. Actually, let me check which ones he did send, because he said he only sent half of what I sent him. So hold on. But yeah, some of those are gonna drop today. Probably when I get home. I might someone just sent me a troll. Wait. Troll. Yeah, but he sent 2. Wait, he sent all of them? Oh, he sent the other half. Oh, never mind, he sent all of them. Yeah, so 6 of the reactions are dropping today. I may or may not record some more tonight. And yeah, so as far as that plug, I ain't gonna lie, I do want to hear that plugged in, so I might do that plugged in tomorrow. The one with like Suspects and PR, like it's too many of them on that song together for me to not do that. But y'all stay tuned. 600. I'm gonna make a post right now, matter of fact. So I'm gonna let y'all vote early. Let y'all vote early. Alright, post is up. I'll go put your albums in there. The last one. Where is it? The last one only had 3 comments. So, and then this one had 2, so somebody don't liked it, but yeah, so y'all go put y'all comments in, man. Well, I'm gonna get up with y'all in the next live, man. Appreciate everybody that came, everyone that watched, everyone that lurked. Appreciate y'all's love and support for this far. 600 on the way.